The crown prince of Beijing's elite circles was born crippled and soul deficient. A mystic prophesied that unless he married the reincarnation of a celestial herb, he'd become completely paralyzed and lose his mind on his 25th birthday. My sister and I are twin celestial herbs. When the prince drew lots to choose his bride, fate picked my sister, yet our parents, who always doted on her, secretly rigged the draw. If we weren't terrified of your sister's secret being exposed, do you really think we'd send you instead? I was married off to the Su family. Within just half a year, not only had Chen Su fully recovered from paralysis, but he grew even more vigorous. The Su family skyrocketed to become a global corporate giant, but then my sister was suddenly violated and killed, her body left in pieces. Chen, who'd always doted on her, treated me no differently. If anything, he became more ardent in our marital bed, yet as I neared childbirth, he callously threw me to a pack of beggars. If you hadn't switched those lots, Yao Yao would still be alive. That bastard in your womb belongs to these filthy beggars. My face drained of color. I was brutalized by beggars until I bled profusely. Su Chen still wouldn't let me go. He flayed me alive with a knife before tossing me into Su Yaoyao's coffin. Yao Yao was also a reincarnated celestial herb. If not for you, we'd have been together long ago. Since you're so proud of your divine heritage, why don't you bring Yao Yao back to life? Buried alive, I suffocated in the coffin with my unborn child. Given a second chance, I swiftly switched our fates back. Su Chen never realized, though his sister was indeed a celestial herb, she couldn't save him. Instead, she'd ensure his gruesome demise. The suffocating sensation of being trapped in a coffin still lingers. Watching my parents secretly swap the lots just like in my past life, I decisively switched them back behind their backs to be extra safe. I even replaced both lots with my sister's name. My parents caught my furtive movements and immediately scolded me. You shameless brat, so desperate to steal your sister's man. Stop looking, we already switched it to your name. Mom glared at me. If it weren't for keeping your sister's secret, do you really think we'd give you this deal? I clenched my fists. My parents always favored her in my past life. Desperate to please my parents and save Su Chen, I agreed to swap fates without hesitation, only to meet a gruesome end. This time, I won't meddle in their affairs. Let Su Chen and Su Yaoyao have their happy ending. Whether Su Chen lives or dies after getting what he wants, that's no longer my concern. Mr. and Mrs. Su frowned at the lottery results and motioned for me to come over. Yuning, are you truly unwilling to marry? Though the lot fell to your sister, we place greater trust in your celestial herb heritage and would prefer Chen to wed you instead. Mrs. Su nodded. This concerns my son's life. You've only been with our family for half a month, yet Chen is already able to walk again. You're the one we truly see as his future wife. Chen still doesn't know the lottery result. If you agree, we can tell him you were the chosen one. Recalling how I met a gruesome end in my past life for standing in the way of Su Chen and Su Yaoyao's love, I shook my head firmly in refusal. Just as the elderly couple tried to persuade me again, Su Chen stormed out in a rage, shoving me aside where I stood before his parents. Su Yuning, don't you dare switch the lots secretly this time. The only one I'll marry is Yao Yao. He turned his gaze to his parents. Yao Yao is also the reincarnation of the celestial herb. Even if you drew Su Yuning's lot, I'd still only marry Yao Yao. Then he glared at me as if I were some unforgivable villain. Don't even think about playing tricks or deceiving my parents. I lowered my gaze and handed him the drawn slip. Don't worry, it was my sister who got picked. Even if it had been me, I'd never marry you. His pupils widened at the words, and he let out a cold snort. Better be. Knowing Su Chen's stubborn streak, Su's parents stopped pressing and simply gestured for me to leave first. Too, I hadn't gone far when Su Chen grabbed my arm. Su Yuning, why aren't you begging to marry me like in our past life? He mused aloud. So you've been reborn too? In that case, know your place. Unless you want to die even more miserably than last time, behave yourself, and after I marry Yao Yao, I might just keep you as my little songbird. I coldly shook off his hand. I won't marry you. I don't love you anymore. His expression hardened, then he let out a cold laugh, playing hard to get. Don't overdo it. I ignored him and turned to call that sickly boy from the Mu family. I'll marry you. The voice on the other end sounded weak yet brimming with joy. 7 days from now is most auspicious. I'll have the wedding preparations begin immediately. I hung up the phone. 7 days from now would be Su Chen's 25th birthday, and his wedding to Su Yaoyao. It would also be the day I finally cut ties with this group for good. I went back home to pack my things, planning to quietly transfer my household registration without anyone noticing. As soon as I walked in, My mother suddenly slapped me across the face. What did I tell you? Your sister has a secret, she can't marry him. Dad grabbed the chopsticks in his hand and slammed them hard on my head. Are you doing this on purpose? You just don't want to see your sister happy, do you? Let me make this clear, you're the one who's marrying Sui Chen. I covered my stinging, swollen cheek and quietly texted Su Yaoyao. The moment she heard our parents' stance, she flew into an indignant argument. Why can't I marry Sui Chen? He's from a wealthy family. I'm determined to become a rich wife. Unlike their harsh treatment of me, my parents immediately started soothing her. Good heavens, don't you realize you're carrying a dangerous secret? If the Su family finds out, you won't live to see tomorrow. Her mother gently stroked her hair. If we let Su Yuning marry into that family, all the money she gets will still end up in our pockets. Su Yaoyao stamped her foot in frustration. No, I'm the one who should become the young madam of the Su family. So what if I have secrets? We still have Su Yuning. We'll take her along as my maid. If anything goes wrong, we'll just pin it all on her. My pupils dilated as I retreated to my room. Just 7 days left, thank goodness. As I was about to leave with my luggage, Su Yaoyao blocked my path. Brother Yi Chen and I are going out. Aren't you coming along as my dowry maid? Dad kicked my suitcase open. What's with the luggage? Listen, you'd better go with your sister right now, or if the Su family finds out Yaoyao's secret, you'll regret it. Mom slashed my suitcase with a knife, glaring at me. With no choice, I followed Su Yaoyao. Su Yi Chen, who had been waiting downstairs, immediately lost his pleasant expression when he saw me. If it weren't for Yaoyao insisting on bringing you along, I'd have kicked you out long ago. Seeing my complete lack of reaction, a flicker of panic flashed in his eyes, though he still forced an air of composure. He even booked a hotel room with Su Yaoyao right in front of me, then stood wrapped in a towel barking orders at me from outside the door. Aren't you Yaoyao's dowry maid? The condom's gone. Could you take a hint? He draped an arm around Su Yaoyao, leaning against the doorframe with a mocking stare. As if searching my eyes for some flicker of reaction, I let out a cold laugh in my heart. Last life, after we got married, he was always entangled with Su Yaoyao. He made me buy condoms for them, clean up their mess afterward, even hand wash Yaoyao's lace panties post-sex. Back then, I'd always throw hysterical tantrums but this time I didn't care. I icily went to get what they wanted. Su Yi Chen stared at my retreating figure, tightening his grip around Yaoyao's arm until she yelped in pain. Only then did he snap out of it. After they finished, Su Yaoyao opened the door for me with barely concealed jealousy. The pallor of death clinging to Su Yi Chen's unconscious form told me he wouldn't last much longer. Su Yaoyao's face darkened when she saw me looking at Su Yi Chen. Can't you stand seeing a man? If it weren't for keeping my secret, do you think I'd let you sleep with him? Get in here now. I knew she wanted to use my immortal herb body to ease the death qi surrounding Su Yi Chen. I didn't consent, yet she viciously grabbed my arm, her long nails digging into my skin. She dragged me onto Su Yi Chen's bed and began tearing at my clothes. I fought back, but she shoved my head down, pinning me in place. Just then, Su Yi Chen woke up. Su Yaoyao panicked for a moment before immediately pointing at me and Su Yi Chen to accuse. Sis, how could you? You knew Brother Yi Chen and I are getting married, yet you forced your way in to seduce him. I wrapped myself in my torn clothes, shaking my head in denial. No, Su Yaoyao dragged me in here. Tears welled up in Su Yaoyao's eyes. I dragged you in so you could seduce my fiancé. Sis, who would believe such an obvious lie? Su Yi Chen frowned and viciously kicked me off the bed. And here I thought you'd changed. Turns out you were scheming all along. He grabbed my chin, so desperate to marry me. Are you? Fine, you can be the bridesmaid at Yaoyao's and my wedding. Consider that as me marrying you. After the ceremony, I might reluctantly keep you as a mistress. He rambled on, completely oblivious to the growing jealousy twisting Su Yaoyao's face. Suddenly, Yaoyao stepped toward me. Brother Yi Chen, let me talk some sense into sister. With a vicious expression, she closed in on me, then abruptly clutched her face, shrieked, and collapsed to the floor. Su Yi Chen shoved me away violently, frantically checking on her. Sister, I just wanted to reason with you. Why did you hit me? Her temple kept bleeding where it had struck the glass table. Yi Chen shot me an icy glare. Absolutely incorrigible. He made a call, and a group of burly men stormed in. You dared slap Yaoyao, you'll pay 100-fold, otherwise, I wouldn't keep you even as a caged canary. With a cold gesture, he signaled his men. Beat her. They pummeled me until I was bruised and swollen. Meanwhile, Su Yi Chen tenderly comforted Su Yaoyao. Feeling better now? Su Yaoyao nodded coyly. After I was thrown out, they tangled together again. Later, An ominous aura thickened around Sui Chen. When I returned home, my father kicked me square in the chest. You were supposed to protect your sister's secret. How dare you disobey? What if her secret gets exposed? Tomorrow, you will sleep with Sui Chen. Su Yaoyao tugged at her father's sleeve. No, Dad, listen, I don't need her help keeping secrets anymore. Nothing bad happened between Sui Chen and me. In fact, things got better. We're both reincarnated spirit herbs. If Su Yuning could do it, why couldn't I? A cold smile curled at the corner of my lips. She had no idea that Sui Chen's improvement was just an illusion. That night, I left with my luggage, finally holding the household registration book in my hand. Su Yaoyao and my parents bombarded me with messages non-stop. How dare you run? Don't even think about spilling my secret, or you'll regret it. Don't think everything falls apart without you. If you're the reincarnation of a celestial herb, so am I. Whatever you can do, I can do better. I immediately blocked them all and focused on preparing for my wedding with Mu Ye. To my surprise, Sui Chen actually came looking for me. Tomorrow's my wedding with Yao Yao. Where the hell is my bridesmaid? I was even willing to pretend this was our wedding, but you can't recognize kindness when you see it. Get your ass back here now, or you'll lose even your golden cage privileges, I replied coolly. I said I won't be your bridesmaid or your caged songbird. I turned away without a second glance at his flustered figure. Then his message bombardment began again. For Yao Yao is the only woman I'll ever marry. Keeping you as my mistress was already an extraordinary mercy. Su Yuning, don't push your luck. With that, I blocked him without hesitation. On our wedding day, Sui Chen couldn't find me anywhere. He frantically called my phone, but every attempt failed. The officiant reminded him the ceremony was about to begin. He just snarled "Get lost," before smashing the phone violently. Where's the bridesmaid? Where did she go? Sui Chen recalled the firmness with which I had rejected him, and unease gripped him even more. He abandoned the guests and rushed out to find me. Su Yaoyao tried to stop him, but he shoved her aside. My wedding car was suddenly blocked by him on the way to the ceremony. He yanked me out of the car, his teeth clenched. I thought you actually didn't like me anymore. But you're being dramatic again. Get back here and be my bridesmaid. And Yao Yao's too. I jerked my hand away coldly. Get lost. Let me out. I'm getting married. His eyes turned icy. Marriage? I think you're trying to steal Yao Yao's wedding. Su Yuning, my patience is limited. You already made me abandon Yao Yao and so many others. Do you really want to go further? He dragged me stumbling along and dumped me right into his wedding venue with Su Yaoyao. Wedding attendant has been found. We can start the wedding now. He casually took Su Yaoyao's arm, completely oblivious to the jealousy in her eyes as she looked at me. Dialogue. Brother Chen, one of the bridesmaids is dressed more elaborately than I am. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? Sui Chen shot me a glance, his expression darkening with anger. So you really are trying to steal the spotlight? What's with the over-the-top dress for a bridesmaid? Take it off. Surrounded by guests watching the performance, I shook my head, my eyes red with emotion. I told you I wasn't trying to steal your bride. Today's my wedding day. Sui Chen's fury escalated as he viciously grabbed my wedding gown and tore it away, leaving me nearly exposed. A collective gasp went up from the crowd, with some even whistling. What a great figure that bridesmaid has, stealing the spotlight at someone else's wedding. You had it coming. Damn, those are some heavenly curves. Rumor has it the bridesmaid's an immortal fairy reborn. Bet she tastes divine. I shouted with red eyes, telling Sui Chen to stop. I'm marrying Mu Ye. What right do you have to touch me? Sui Chen's pupils narrowed sharply, letting out a cold laugh. Married to that sickly, half-dead man, who doesn't know how obsessed you are with me. No one would believe you'd marry that sickly fellow. The guests around them began to laugh. Can that sickly guy even get hard? He probably can't even stand up properly. Marrying him? That's hilarious, right? Everyone knows Su Yuning has always had a thing for Sui Chen. Probably just another one of her little tricks to catch the young master's attention. Sui Chen tossed a ragged piece of clothing at me and sneered. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You're just using that sickly act to flaunt your so-called celestial herb body, trying to worm your way back into my life and steal Yao Yao's place. Let me make this clear. Not a chance. Yao Yao is also a reincarnated celestial herb, and she's already healed me. She's the only one who'll ever be my wife. If you crawl back now, I might just let you play the role of a caged songbird. Consider that your only mercy. He yanked me up roughly and signaled the officiant to proceed with the ceremony. Before exchanging rings with Su Yaoyao, he hissed a cold warning. Would have been easier if you'd behaved sooner. Told you I'd keep you as my canary, never discard you. What's there to rebel over? and you dared lie about marrying someone else. The clock on the wall struck 12. Su Yichen's 25th birthday had arrived. At that moment, the wedding hall's door was kicked open with a loud bang. My wife is nobody's caged canary, the once frail Mu Ye stood before the crowd with newfound vigor. I shook off Su Yichen's hand and ran toward Mu Ye, watching my retreating figure. Su Yichen was seized by overwhelming panic, yet still he sneered through clenched teeth. Had enough, Su Yuning. I've already been healed by Yao Yao. Must you still scheme with that immortal herb constitution? Suddenly, his legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground, face contorted, mouth slack with uncontrollable drool. His face turned deathly pale in an instant as he slurred unintelligibly, stretching a trembling hand toward me in silent plea. 5. Su Yaoyao frantically tried helping the fallen Su Yichen up, only to be shoved aside when his parents stormed onto the stage. Didn't you say you were also a reincarnated immortal herb? Then why has my son turned out like this? Su Yichen wiped the drool from his mouth with difficulty, slurring his words as he begged me. Yuning, you're just trying to make me jealous so I'll marry you, aren't you? Stop playing games. I'll marry you, Mr. and Mrs. Su grasped my hands earnestly. Yuning, if you'll agree to marry my son, I'll give you 1/10 of the Su family shares. No, I'll give you half. Mu Ye sneered at them and pulled me back into his arms. Stop deluding yourselves. Yuning is my wife, and I'm willing to give her all the Mu family shares. Su Yichen's pupils contracted sharply, fury flashing across his face. Su Yuning, don't push your luck. I'm already willing to marry you. Must you provoke me with someone else? Walk away from him now, or when I lose my temper, this is over for good. I shook my head coldly, a mocking smile playing on my lips. Spit out that drool before you speak. Young Master Su, what's all that mumbling? I told you, I'm never marrying you. Su Yichen's eyes welled up with redness, disbelief etched across his face. Beside him, Su Yaoyao clenched her hands tightly, her heart aching as she burrowed into Su Yichen's embrace. She suddenly pointed at me with venom. Su Yuning, how dare you call yourself my own sister? You schemed against Yichen just to steal him from me. I'm a celestial herb's reincarnation too. I almost had him cured, Mr. and Mrs. Su shot Su Yaoyao a skeptical glance. Su Yichen clumsily grabbed her wrist. Are you really the reincarnation of the immortal herb, and can you heal me? Su Yaoyao's eyes brimmed with tears, reddened with hurt indignation. Brother Yichen, I am. The fact that you've gradually gotten better since I've been by your side, isn't that proof? It must be my sister. She couldn't let go of you, so she poisoned you on purpose. She just wants to ruin Xiancao's reputation, making everyone believe she's the real Xianchao, so she can steal you away. Su's parents frowned and scolded Su Yaoyao. Who knows if you're even telling the truth? Yichen, kick this woman out right now and go win Yuning back. They grabbed Su Yaoyao, trying to force her out. My parents immediately rushed onto the stage to shield her. Yaoyao has always been kind-hearted. Of course she's telling the truth. That eldest daughter of mine, Su Yuning, she's always been scheming, dead set on stealing my younger daughter's husband. Who knows if she's behind what happened to young Master Su? Su Yichen limped over, clutching Su Yaoyao tightly in his arms, then shot me a reproachful glare. With a twisted mouth and squinting eyes, he forced out each word with deliberate clarity. Su Yuning, I actually thought you wanted to marry someone else. Turns out it was just playing hard to get. You'd even go this far, changing me into this, just to win my affection. Listen carefully, change me back now, or you won't even get to be my canary anymore. I clasped Mu Ye's hand tightly, our fingers interlaced. Be someone else's caged bird for all I care, and don't you dare blame me for what you've become. Maybe you should dig deeper into Su Yaoyao's secrets instead. Su Yaoyao and my parents turned deathly pale in an instant. Su Yichen glared at our clasped hands, with eyes nearly popping out of their sockets, completely oblivious to Su Yaoyao's reaction. Su Yuning, did you really have to fake marry this sickly man just to make me jealous? You've crossed the line. So what if you're the reincarnation of the divine herb? You poisoned me and reduced me to this state, but it doesn't matter. Yaoyao is also a divine herb reincarnation. She'll cure me soon enough. When that happens, even if you beg to treat me or become my caged songbird, I'll never accept. Ignoring him, I let Mu Ye carry me away. Su Yichen shot a furious glare at the spectating guests, drool dripping all over Su Yaoyao. What are you staring at? Let's proceed with the ceremony. He tightened his grip on Su Yaoyao's hand. Yaoyao, I trust your words. I know you'll cure me soon. Su Yaoyao nodded repeatedly despite her inner panic. Su Yichen had no idea she couldn't heal him. In fact, she'd lead him to a gruesome death. When Su's parents tried to object, their son shut them down. Immediately, the moment the wedding formalities concluded, Su Yichen began trembling as he fumbled for his phone. Su Yuning, I've already gone through the marriage process with Yao Yao, get your ass back here now, and I'll let slide that poisoning stunt you pulled out of jealousy. Su Yuning, have I spoiled you too much, still throwing a tantrum and pretending to marry someone else? Jealousy has its limits, come back now, or we're truly done. He sent so many messages, but I didn't reply to a single one. 6. The fireworks from my wedding banquet with Mu Ye burst into the sky, and the moment Su Yichen saw them, he completely panicked. He tried to stagger out to find me, but with his hands and eyes askew and his legs limping, he hadn't taken a few steps before collapsing to the ground. With his mouth twisted, he pointed at the man beneath him. Take me to Su Yuning's wedding right now. Su Yaoyao's toast glass clattered to the ground. Yichen, you can't just leave me here, we still have toasts to make. Everyone knows your sister's obsessed with you. She's obviously faking this marriage just to mess with you. Su Yichen shook her off without hesitation. Yao Yao, I'll just take a quick look and be right back. Su Yichen barged into the wedding venue just as Mu Ye and I were about to exchange rings. With red-rimmed eyes, Su Yichen shouted, stop this. Su Yuning, have you had your fill of acting out? Did you really arrange this whole wedding just to spite me? Even if it's fake, I won't allow you to marry someone else. Spittle flew from his mouth, staining his collar. Whispers circulated through the crowd. Isn't this the young master of the Su family? I heard the youngest daughter of the Su family was also a reincarnated immortal herb. How come things got worse after he married her? I'd say Su Yuning is the real miracle cure. Just look at Mu Ye, the sickly one. She's almost fully recovered now. Look at Su Yichen drooling like that. Aside from having normal intelligence, he looks every bit the fool on the outside. That guru was spot on. Turning into a fool the moment you hit 25, well, look at me now. Su Yichen heard the mocking voices around him, his face turning red with anger. He tried to intimidate everyone with his presence, but his appearance at that moment carried not an ounce of authority. He glared at me, teeth clenched. Su Yuning, I'm saying this one last time, come back and be my canary. You've had your tantrum long enough. That broken ring of his, you're not wearing it. I didn't respond to him, just right there in front of him, I slipped the ring that Mu Ye had given me onto my finger. Security, get this drooling idiot out of here. He's ruining my wedding. Su Yichen's eyes widened in disbelief when he heard I was kicking him out. Limping to his feet, he violently flipped the table. Mu Ye frowned, stepped off the stage, and sent him flying with a single kick. I let it slide out of respect for Yuning, but you just had to push your luck. I lifted his wheelchair with one hand and tossed it beside him. Get the hell out with your filthy self. Su Yuning is my wife. If you dare bother her again, I'll beat you senseless every time I see you. Su Yichen's mouth twisted further with anger, but he could do nothing. So exhausted he panted just trying to drag himself into his wheelchair. He stared at me with red, furious eyes. Yuning, I know you're still upset and only married him to spite me. Don't worry, your golden cage will always be waiting. But my patience has limits, so don't push this act too far. He left in a wheelchair, his mouth twisted and eyes askew, yet within days, he was back harassing me, this time without the wheelchair, perfectly normal again. Su Yaoyao nestled snugly in his arms. Sister, I told you that Yichen suddenly fell ill the other day. It was your doing, but look, after my care, he's back to normal now. Su Yichen's face darkened with anger as he looked at me. Su Yuning, have you had your fun? I almost fell for your lies, thinking Yao Yao could never cure me. Yet again, it was just another one of your schemes. He let out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll let it slide since you only did it because you love me too much, but you'd better get your ass back here right now. Su Yaoyao looked anxious and joined in trying to persuade me. Sis, I'm willing to share a husband with you. Just come back and be Yichen's kept woman. Stop making a scene. Su Yichen pressed a tender kiss to the crown of Su Yaoyao's head, his heart swelling with quiet contentment. Yao Yao, the legitimate wife, doesn't even mind your presence as a mistress. What more could you possibly want? You should learn from her and stop being so jealous and desperate for attention. I frowned and extended my hand with the wedding ring. I told you I'm married. Stop harassing me. What era do you think this is? Expecting both me and Su Yaoyao to wait on you. Dream on. As I turned to leave, Su Yichen grabbed my wrist and muttered, even if you're the reincarnation of celestial herbs, you can't cure Mu Ye's terminal illness. Last lifetime, he died by the end of this month. He violently released my hand. 7. You loved me so deeply in our past life. I refuse to believe you truly abandoned me now. Get your ass back here, or when that sickly weakling dies, you'll be left a widow. The moment he finished speaking, Mu Ye appeared behind me without a trace of illness about him. No need for young Master Su's concern, I'm in perfect health. Su Yichen shot Mu Ye a disbelieving glance. I smirked mockingly at him, taking in the ominous aura clinging to his entire being. Mind your own business, or you might get yourself killed by some so-called immortal herb reincarnation. Su Yaoyao panicked instantly. I knew her secret was about to be exposed. Her unusual attempt to persuade me to return as a caged songbird today was nothing but a last-ditch effort before her secret came to light. As for Su Yichen, who was supposed to be left paralyzed and brain-damaged, Su Yaoyao's forced recovery will only lead him to a far more tragic end. Mu Ye wrapped her arm around my waist and led me away. Su Yichen kept staring at my back, not even responding when Su Yaoyao called his name. Su Yaoyao and her parents tracked me down frantically, begging me to go back to Su Yichen. Sister, please help me. If my secret gets out, the Su family won't let me off. My parents knelt down and begged me, honey, for the sake of us being your parents, please do us a favor. I recalled how those two shamelessly pinned the blame for the forged signatures on me when Su Yaoyao got into trouble in my past life, and couldn't help but let out a scornful laugh. Though Yaoyao and I are twins, our parents never showed me the slightest affection. Their favoritism was clear from the very beginning. I have no intention of saving them. They've made their bed, now they must lie in it. I signaled to my subordinates and promptly had them thrown out. After recovering, Su Yichen became paralyzed again, this time worse than ever. He used to limp around, but now he's lost all sensation in his lower body. Before, his speech was slurred with facial paralysis and drooling, but at least intelligible. Now we strained to understand him. His parents came to me, kneeling with tear-reddened eyes. Yuning, I know you've started your own family, but Yichen's life matters too. Please, I beg you to save him. He's our only son. For old time's sake, give him another chance. My wrapped a possessive arm around my waist, jealousy lacing her voice. Sorry, but she's my wife now. Su's mother immediately tugged at Mu Ye's pants with a fawning expression. Please, young Master Mu, lend us Yuning just this once. Once it's done, we'll gladly give you some shares of the Su family. Mu Ye frowned and kicked her away. Yuning is a real person. What do you mean by use her for a bit? Get lost. Yuning won't agree to this, and neither will I. Isn't Su Yichen's wife also claiming to be a divine herb? Go treat her then. Su's parents were driven away. Seeing no hope for Su Yichen's recovery, his mother viciously grabbed Su Yaoyao by the hair. Didn't you claim to be a reincarnated celestial herb too? Then why has my son ended up like this? Meanwhile that sickly weakling your sister married has suddenly become full of vigor. Su's father kicked Su Yaoyao square in the chest. You wretched creature, you're the one who ruined my son. They rained blows upon Su Yaoyao as she screamed for them to stop. I am the miracle herb. Just give me a little more time. Wait a bit longer, and Yichen will surely recover. The furious Su parents had no choice but to resort to desperate measures. Grasping at straws, Yichen did show signs of improvement after a few days, but soon relapsed with even worse symptoms. Seeing her secret on the verge of exposure, Su Yaoyao tried to flee, but the Su parents broke one of her legs, forcing her to hastily claim, Yichen will get better soon. As an excuse, they no longer believed a word she said. You dare run after what you've done to our son? If we find out you're responsible for his condition, you'll pay dearly. They rushed Yichen to the long-awaited specialist for examination. 8. The master sighed deeply after checking. Even if he couldn't marry the reincarnation of Xian Chao, it shouldn't have gone this far. Just who did you marry him to? Su's parents recounted the whole story. The master suddenly slammed his hand on the table. What madness! What you brought home is no divine herb, it's poison. Its toxicity far outweighs any medicinal value. The Su parents wept and begged the master on their knees to save them. The master shook his head. Unless the reincarnated pure celestial herb chooses to intervene, death is inevitable. The younger sister's secret was fully revealed. She was the reincarnation of both the celestial herb and its poisonous counterpart. Under her treatment, patients merely oscillated between recovery and deterioration, until finally losing all chance of healing. After being bedridden for half a month under his sister's alternating poison and treatment, Su Yichen finally had 2 days of recovery. With bloodshot eyes, he kicked Su Yaoyao to the ground and viciously choked her neck. It's all your fault that Yuning left. Blood pooled beneath Su Yaoyao as she struggled desperately. I'm pregnant, let me go, please. Su Yichen showed no intention of releasing his grip. Only when his parents intervened did Su Yaoyao escape with her life. Su Yichen has become useless, so his parents decided to have Su Yaoyao deliver the baby she's carrying to raise a new heir. Su Yichen was utterly shocked, but his parents had completely given up on him. Son, we've no choice, that Su Yuning absolutely refused to save you, we have to abandon you. Su Yichen flew into a rage, smashed everything in sight, and even had Su Yaoyao's parents dangled from a plane like kites. Though they begged her for help, Su Yaoyao only responded with icy sarcasm. When I was marrying into the Su family, none of you tried to stop me. Look how miserable my life became. You deserve every bit of suffering you're getting now. Her parents, left hanging in midair, completely lost hope. After barely surviving, they used visiting Su Yaoyao as an excuse to stab her 99 times. The Su parents panicked and rushed her to the hospital, but they couldn't care less whether Su Yaoyao lived or died. To protect the unborn child, they even forbade doctors from administering anesthesia during Su Yaoyao's surgery. Su Yaoyao screamed her heart out in the operating room, yet no one paid her any attention. As for my parents, Su Yaoyao had them thrown in jail right after her surgery, even slipping the cops some extra cash to make sure they were taken care of. My parents must be suffering terribly in prison. Without Su Yaoyao's poison and medical skills, Su Yichen completely collapsed, and his parents stopped caring for him. The caregivers noticed his family's neglect. They couldn't even be bothered to clean up after he soiled the bed or treat the bedsores festering on his back. Driven by sheer survival instinct, Su Yichen painstakingly used his only functional finger to drag himself upright. Inch by inch he toppled off the bed, hauled his broken leg behind him, and crawled onto the wheelchair. With a twisted mouth, drool dripping, he somehow found me. When he saw me, his bloodshot eyes burned with desperation, muttering incoherent words through slurred speech. It took several repetitions before I finally understood. He was saying, Su Yuning, I'm sorry, please save me. I ignored him and simply called his family instead. Seeing me about to leave, he struggled and tumbled from his wheelchair, collapsing onto the floor like a heap of lifeless flesh. Utterly unable to move, drool pooled around him as he mumbled incoherently, but I couldn't be bothered to listen. The caregiver arrived quickly and, upon seeing Su Yichen, immediately slapped him in the face in a fit of rage. Do you have any idea how busy I am? Huh, what are you doing wandering around like some useless cripple? When Su Yaoyao went into labor, the Su parents were overjoyed, but their faces darkened the moment they saw the newborn. The baby's skin tone was noticeably darker than either of theirs. The dark-skinned child clearly wasn't Su Yichen's. Enraged, the Su family immediately threw the postpartum Su Yaoyao out of their household. The homeless woman, with no one to turn to, was soon taken advantage of by vagrants and eventually lost her mind. Su Yichen's condition deteriorated rapidly, his mind growing increasingly confused. His parents couldn't be bothered with him anymore and decided to have another child instead. Keisu's mother was too old to have children. Not long after, Keisu's father got another woman pregnant and insisted on bringing the child home as an adopted son. Su's mother refused outright, and the two of them ended up in a bitter argument. With no one to care for him, Su Yichen was dumped into a nursing home, where he spent his days drooling and giggling foolishly. I heard he kept murmuring Su Yuning's name, saying sorry, but I don't care about any of that anymore. I completely cured Mu Ye, and the entire Mu family holds me in high regard. No matter what I want to do, they fully support me. My own health struggles sparked my passion for medicine, and with my Yi's unwavering support, I dedicated myself to advanced studies, healing countless lives along the way. Now thriving in my career, I've found both professional fulfillment and personal happiness. That's all for the first story. Don't go anywhere. The next one is even better. Once again, the ragged little pitiful male lead clutched at the hem of her skirt. I knew the plot was auto-correcting. I'm hungry. Can I have the bread in your hand? 7-year-old Lu Xiaoyuan tilted up his adorably delicate face, gazing at me with beautiful eyes brimming with hunger. So pitiful, so harmless, but I know if I show mercy now, he'll drain my family's wealth and live off our resources. He'll bask in my parents' affection while climbing the career ladder through their connections. Then he'll cheat, force me out penniless, drive my mother to illness and my father to an early grave. My once perfect life was doomed to ruin the moment I met that man, Lu Xiaoyuan. This is the heroine's destiny, but I don't want this kind of future, so I tossed the bread in my hand into the gutter by the roadside, speaking in a contemptuous tone like calling a dog. Go ahead and eat. Lu Xiaoyuan froze. His wide, innocent eyes stared blankly at me before darting to the bread now ruined in the filthy water. His brows furrowed in confusion. He seemed unable to comprehend why the bread had ended up in the murky water instead of his hands. We're the same age, right in the bloom of youthful innocence. She'd feed stray cats and dogs with love, and whenever she saw elderly vendors selling vegetables on the street, she'd insist that her parents buy everything from them, seeing such a pitiful man crouching here, exposed to wind and rain. The kind and tender-hearted female lead should have her parents take him home and adopt him, doting on him with endless care and affection. How could you first turn a blind eye to him, then cruelly toss the bread he craved into filthy water to humiliate him? Don't touch my dress with your filthy hands. I yanked my skirt from Lu Xiaoyuan's grasp, glaring at him in disgust when I saw the foul-smelling stains left behind before walking away without a second glance. The next afternoon on my way home from school, I spotted Lu Xiaoyuan again at that same street corner. He looked even more pitiful now, curled up against the cold wind with his exposed face burning bright red. This corner is actually quite noticeable. At 6 in the evening, the neighborhood buzzed with activity, commuters returning from work, students back from school, parents picking up kids, and folks lugging groceries home to cook. Yet these people acted as if Lu Xiaoyuan were invisible, letting that huddled mass of his block the shaded paths bend like a human boulder. I stopped in my tracks, looked up at the sky, and let out a bitter laugh. I took a detour on my way home without thinking twice. With Lu Xiaoyuan's frail health, I wonder how much longer he can endure this bitter cold. If I refuse to follow the script, what can fate possibly do to me? The next day was weekend. I was having breakfast at the table when my dad suddenly called. My mom's expression changed. She urged me to eat quickly, then hurried into the room. Your dad picked up a kid on the way, said it was the Lu kid from Building 8. His parents were in a car accident, and now his own uncle has taken over their house. Such a sad story. Before I could even ask, my mom told me the reason. I gripped the glass tightly, gazing out at the blue sky, when suddenly a gust of wind swept through, lifting the curtain and slapping it across my face like a provocation. Finish your breakfast at home, then do your homework. Once that's done, you can watch cartoons. Be good. I'll drop off the money for your dad and pay that child's medical bills, then I'll be right back. I jumped off my chair, ran over, and grabbed my mom's skirt. I want to go too. If I don't go, I'm afraid they won't come back as 2 people. There'll be 3. When they couldn't get through me, they went behind my back through my parents. How despicable. Sure enough, as soon as we got to the hospital and learned about Lu Xiaoyuan's tragic situation, my parents were moved with compassion. They're taking Lu Xiaoyuan home. What a poor kid. Just a month after his parents passed, he's already malnourished under his own uncle's care. If we let him take this back, history will just repeat itself. We got lucky this time, but what about next time? Lu Xiaoyuan clung tightly to my mother's embrace, watching my father argue with his own uncle over him. Seeing that I was staring at him, he gave me a shy smile, then, as if afraid, leaned closer into my mom's arms. Damn hypocrite, Mommy, I'm scared. I tugged at my mom's sleeve, climbed into her arms along her outstretched arm, and shoved Lu Xiaoyuan aside with my butt. Naturally, no neighborhood kid could compare to her own flesh and blood. As my mom freed her hands to hold me, she didn't notice Lu Xiaoyuan's darkened expression, the same boy who'd been so sweetly snuggled in her arms moments before. Are we really going to bring him home? I wrapped my arms around my mom's neck, leaning close to her ear, speaking softly enough for Lu Xiaoyuan to hear too. But there's no room left in the house for him to stay. I don't like having strangers in the house, and I don't like sharing my parents with outsiders. By the end of the sentence, her voice had broken into sobs. My mom answered without hesitation, what nonsense, we're your parents and yours alone. Your father only wants to bring him home because the poor boy has nowhere else to go. Once he recovers and his uncle mends his ways, he'll return to his own family. I knew perfectly well my parents were just showing kindness to a pitiful neighborhood kid, with no intention of actually adopting Lu Xiaoyuan. But here's the problem, Lu Xiaoyuan is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Once he crosses our threshold, he won't leave until he's devoured everything we have. Following the original storyline, after my parents took him in, they unexpectedly discovered his extraordinary talent for mathematics. Through my father's recommendation, Lu Xiaoyuan became the protege of a renowned mathematician, launching his brilliant future. My father, a lawyer specializing in inheritance disputes, helped Lu Xiaoyuan reclaim his rightful property. Recognizing his potential, Dad even formally adopted him as his foster son. Without my family's intervention, Lu Xiaoyuan would never have achieved such greatness. He might have frozen to death in that bitter winter, but what did he do afterward? Cheating and forcing me out with nothing was bad enough, but he even framed my father, causing him to lose a crucial lawsuit and get disbarred at an age when he should have been enjoying retirement. His reputation was ruined, and he ended up in debt after offending powerful people. My father died from sheer rage. My mother had a mental breakdown, and despite my education and work experience, I had to take a job as a waitress at a barbecue joint to support her. Damn it, who on earth thinks this is tragic romance? Isn't it that scumbag Lu Xiaoyuan who deserves to burn in hell for chasing his wife back? How did my dad end up in the crematorium? The thought of spending years toiling in a smoky grill joint, dealing with picky customers day after day. Meanwhile, Lu Xiaoyuan had it all: fame, fortune, a fleet of luxury cars, and a stunning wife by his side. He even had the nerve to parade his pregnant mistress at the barbecue joint, wearing that deadpan expression and putting on airs as he condescendingly asked if I'd learned my lesson. If you admit your mistake, I can transfer your aunt to a better hospital. Quit this job and come work for me as my assistant. His eyes swept over my greasy hands, a flicker of disgust crossing his face as he spoke in a patronizing tone. It may not be like before, but at least it's more respectable than what you've become. That me promptly flung half a bucket of slops all over him. Get lost. Lu Xiaoyuan's face turned livid as he spat out venomously. Fine, since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, go ahead and stay stubborn with your mentally ill mother for the rest of your life, bitch. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Catching Lu Xiaoyuan's gloomy expression from the corner of my eye, I kicked him outright before clinging to my mother in tears. But I don't want to see Daddy arguing with people. I'm scared, Mommy. I hate having strangers at home. He's so creepy and keeps glaring at me. My mother turned at just the right moment, catching the vicious glare Lu Xiaoyuan hadn't yet managed to hide. Too, Auntie, I didn't. Lu Xiaoyuan started, quickly schooling his features back into that pitiful, innocent expression from moments before. Still just a kid, he couldn't hide the resentment after my unwarranted kick. His face twisted into a stiff, ugly grimace. The pity in my mother's eyes gave way to startled suspicion. Scooping me up from the hospital bed, she muttered half-hearted reassurances before turning away from Lu Xiaoyuan to focus solely on comforting me. Don't worry, sweetheart. Mom and Dad will always be yours and yours alone, she said solemnly. I promise you, no strangers will ever set foot in our home. I held her tightly in my arms, locking eyes with Lu Xiaoyuan on the hospital bed before flashing him a defiant smirk. His face grew even paler, his hands gripping the blanket tightly, veins standing out on his knuckles. My mom talked my dad out of taking Lu Xiaoyuan back home, but she supported him helping Lu Xiaoyuan reclaim the house his parents had left him. Can't help it. They're genuinely warm-hearted and kind. I was frantic, terrified that after this case, my dad would recognize Lu Xiaoyuan's talent again and start paving the way for him out of admiration. The plot has reverted to its original course, but I have to say Lu Xiaoyuan is an ungrateful wretch. After helping him, our family of 3 ended up with deaths and illnesses. No single word like tragic could ever capture that misery. My voice seemed to suddenly give out. No matter how hard I tried, they couldn't hear me. Even when I tried to write it down, my hand goes weak. I can't even hold the pen. I wanted to pull out the newspaper and point to the words to tell the truth, but all I saw was a blinding white void. After I came to, my parents looked at me with concern and asked, She, what's wrong? I took a deep breath and snapped, I can't stand Lu Xiaoyuan. My father's expression softened. If you don't like him, you don't like him. It's not like you'll ever see him again. Dad just helped him with the case. My obvious resistance to Lu Xiaoyuan made my parents never consider adopting him. But Lu Xiaoyuan refused to give up. Every time my dad goes, he clings to him like he can't live without him. Uncle, it's so good to have you, Uncle. I really miss my dad. If he were here, he'd hold me just like you are now. Uncle, can I call you Dad? No. I shoved him away with all my strength, scrambling on all fours into my father's arms while glaring fiercely at Lu Xiaoyuan, whose face was still streaked with tears. He's my dad. Mine alone, not yours. I suspected Lu Xiaoyuan had also awakened to the plotline like I had. Why else would he keep barging into our house like that? Alright, that's enough now. Holding me with one arm, my dad patted Lu Xiaoyuan's shoulder reassuringly. I know you miss your father dearly, but he'd be heartbroken if he heard you calling me Dad, wouldn't he? Then he turned to my mom and muttered, that kid's acting strange, almost like he's trying to latch onto our family. That day he said he wanted to be my son and she's big brother. Scared me half to death. Who on earth put that idea in his head? Luckily, my dad is still my dad. Lu Xiaoyuan's over-the-top enthusiasm simply doesn't work on him. Luckily, Lu Xiaoyuan didn't wake up to the plot like I did, or he'd have already shown off his math talent right in front of my dad. With my dad stepping in, Lu Xiaoyuan got his family's house back without a hitch, but none of the Lu family's relatives were willing to take in 8-year-old Lu Xiaoyuan, so he ultimately ended up in the child welfare system. After watching the welfare workers take Lu Xiaoyuan away, days passed uneventfully without any incident. Only then did the lump in my throat begin to ease. The plot isn't unchangeable, and divine will isn't omnipotent, and so, I grew up peacefully until the age of 16 to avoid the plot. I worked tirelessly throughout middle school and got admitted to Jiangqing's best high school as the top student in the city. Yet on the very first day of high school registration, I spotted Lu Xiaoyuan's name on the class roster. Zhao Shiqing, speak of the devil. I turned around, and who should I see but Lu Xiaoyuan. Unlike the refined elegance he'd developed in the original storyline with abundant love and a healthy family environment, this orphanage-raised Lu Xiaoyuan appeared noticeably paler and more brooding. But protagonists will be protagonists. His looks remained flawless. When he smiled, his eyes crinkled like a beautiful shonen manga character. Fate must be at play. We got assigned to the same class. He spoke gently, as if our childhood conflicts had never existed. I haven't visited uncle yet to thank him for reclaiming the house my parents left me. I'll pass along your gratitude. Without ceremony, I forced a laugh and walked away. Even after walking some distance, I could feel eyes boring into my back. Turning around, I saw Lu Xiaoyuan smiling at me with crinkled eyes in the sunlight. His skin was deathly pale, almost glowing under the sunlight like some vengeful wraith come to claim souls. Though early September, River City still baked in midsummer heat, yet a chill crept up my spine. But soon, a deep and bitter resentment began to fester within me. Our family once did Lu Xiaoyuan a great favor, though it wasn't the same as the original story's upbringing. If it hadn't been for my dad back then, he would have either frozen to death in the cold or been abused by his own uncle for years. With this favor on his side, he'll always be beneath me. That love story from the original plot would never happen, and he can forget about having his cake and eating it too. Not after destroying my entire family. But I still underestimated how much the plot would impact the real world. Even though I treated Lu Xiaoyuan coldly, rejected all his advances, avoided him whenever possible, and made it perfectly clear how much I disliked and loathed him, there were still rumors in the class about me and him dating. I get it, we all know. Your parents are strict about no dating before college, so you and Lu Xiao are keeping it on the down low. A secret relationship wasn't even the most infuriating part. What really ticked me off was Lu Xiaoyuan bragging to everyone that my top-ranking grades were all thanks to his tutoring. Your parents are so strict, you'd be in trouble if you didn't come in first. But Lu, the genius, adores you so much he deliberately held back to let you take the top spot. God, this is like some fairy tale romance. All those sleepless nights buried in books, clawing my way to the top of the city's exams. And now Lu Xiaoyuan's treating it like some spoiled princess privilege. Where the hell did all these sex-obsessed idiots come from, and how come I'm not called God Zhao when I'm the city's top scorer? While that Lu Xiaoyuan gets dubbed the Almighty just for making the top 10 in our grade. Where does he get the nerve? Before I could explain the truth, the music teacher called me to the office. With your privileged background, your family's got your back no matter what. But Lu Xiaoyuan, that's a different story. The young female teacher wore a stern expression, her eyes brimming with undisguised disdain for me and genuine heartache for Lu Xiaoyuan. His parents passed away early, leaving him as the only one left in the family. He's a rare genius. You can't let some girl's shameful intentions ruin him. If you dare to bother him again, the teacher will really have to call your parents and let them teach you a lesson. 3. Watching her fiery youth defending the boy she liked, I was reminded of the original plot. This part was also in the original plot, yet the whole school thought I was the adopted one. While Lu Xiaoyuan was my parents' real child back then, there was just one thin layer of paper between me and Lu Xiaoyuan. Everyone in class was shipping the gentle older brother and the clumsy adopted sister. Li Jiaying, the young music teacher, called me over and told me not to hold Lu Xiaoyuan back in his future. I was so upset that I ran out crying, only for Lu Xiaoyuan to come storming after me moments later, demanding to know why I'd thrown away the music teacher's medicine. Li Jiaying trailed behind him with red-rimmed eyes, saying, Zhao Shiqing, the teacher only wants what's best for you. How could you treat them like this? Well, one master manipulator outdoes another. No wonder Li Jiaying's always cozying up to Lu Xiaoyuan. Turns out it's the mutual attraction between two green TB asterisk cheese. Though resentment burned inside me, I still managed to keep my composure while refuting Li Jiaying. Teacher, I wasn't chasing Lu Xiaoyuan. and I've never had feelings for him. If anything, he's been the one pursuing me, spreading rumors around school that we're in a relationship. I'm really distressed by this. Teacher, since you're so dedicated, could you help me get in touch with my parents? I blinked my sincere eyes at her. If my parents knew I was being stalked at school by an orphan who's narcissistic, arrogant, and shameless, they'd be heartbroken. For me, Li Jiaying's expression changed instantly. Zhao Shiqing, the teacher spoke to you gently out of consideration for your dignity as a young girl. How dare you twist the truth right in front of her and claim Lu Xiaoyuan was harassing you? What gives you the nerve to say such things? A spoiled rich girl like you, who's never lifted a finger in her life, couldn't possibly understand the sheer effort Lu Xiaoyuan has put in to get where he is today. Her face twisted with fury. He's so outstanding. If you hadn't deliberately clung to him and distracted him, not only would he have taken first place in our grade, but that competition spot would have been his too. There's no way he'd ever like a shallow, affected girl like you. Furious to the point of losing control, she even stood up and grabbed me. Come on, let's go find Lu Xiaoyuan. We'll apologize to him in front of the whole class and swear we'll never bother him again. Teacher, I'm afraid that won't work. I dodged her outstretched hand and held up my phone, showing the active call screen. My dad's stern voice came from inside. Teacher Lee, that's Teacher Lee, right? I've already reported you to the Education Bureau. A teacher who blindly favors male students while slandering my daughter with vulgar rumors doesn't deserve to be in this profession. Li Jiaying's face flushed crimson, but in her fury, she defiantly retorted, Mr. Zhao Shiqing's father, I swear on my professional integrity, every word I've said is the absolute truth. Your daughter shamelessly harassed male classmates, and even after learning the facts, you dare speak to me like this. I truly couldn't fathom where Li Jiaying got such audacity. Did Lu Xiaoyuan actually tell her that I was pestering him, preventing him from studying and ruining his future, or did she witness it herself? Thinking back, I recalled several times when Lu Xiaoyuan harassed me and I gave him the cold shoulder, only to turn around and see Li Jiaying watching us. From the end of the hallway her expression was absolutely livid. No way, no way, she can't actually be into Lu Xiaoyuan, can she? My father arrived quickly, accompanied by the principal, the academic dean, and an official from the Education Bureau. A flicker of hesitation crossed Li Jiaying's expression, but the moment she spotted Lu Xiaoyuan in the classroom, her posture straightened with renewed resolve. Lu, tell me, is it Zhao Shiqing clinging to you, making it hard for you to focus more on your studies? Caught off guard by the sudden commotion, Lu Xiaoyuan panicked momentarily. His pupils flickered twice before regaining their usual composure. Professor, what are you talking about? I don't quite follow. Li Jiaying lunged forward and grabbed his hand. Speak up. As your teacher, I'll stand by you. Lu, say it now. The school administrators are all here. High school students aren't allowed to date anyway. Ms. Li, I genuinely don't understand what you're referring to. Lu Xiaoyuan frantically tried to pull his hand away. Amused, I cut straight to the point. Ms. Li, don't tell me he actually claimed, to your face, that I've been pestering him and ruined his chances at being the city's top scorer, reducing him to 10th in our grade. This is utterly absurd and ridiculous. My gaze shifted back to the classmate who first told me about the secret romance. Who told you about my secret relationship with Lu Xiaoyuan? She hesitated for a moment, then pointed to the person beside her. My gaze followed, just as the second classmate immediately singled out the next. One by one, the last person pointed at Lu Xiaoyuan. He told me himself. He said you've known each other since childhood, practically grew up together, and always had feelings for one another. You're just giving him the cold shoulder now because of some recent squabble. I looked at Lu Xiaoyuan with utmost seriousness. Really, Lu, I like you. How come I didn't know about this? It's not like I haven't explained. Lu Xiaoyuan and I were never dating. I don't even like him, but it was pointless. Everyone just laughed it off, saying we know, we get it. You're keeping your relationship with God Lu on the down low. They exchanged knowing glances with suggestive smirks, completely ignoring how uncomfortable I looked. I finally lost my temper after God knows how many times throwing away Lu Xiaoyuan's strawberry milk. I told him to stop this pointless gesture. My father saved his life so he could live it, not to pester me like this. He gave a bitter smile. Little orange, please be reasonable. Just tell me what I must do for your forgiveness. That Lu Xiaoyuan just doesn't get it through his thick skull. No, he understood perfectly well. He was dead set on forcing a connection with me, trying to drag this derailed plot back on track. After my initial frenzy, I cooled down, biding my time until Li Jiaying showed up today. The bigger the scene I could make out of this, the better. Just like now, I took in Lu Xiaoyuan's stiff expression, then glanced at Li Jiaying, who clearly sensed something was off too. Sure, I've known you since childhood, but you were sent to a welfare institution at 7, we didn't meet again until high school started. How does that qualify as childhood sweethearts? The claim that you tutored me to become the city's top scorer is downright laughable. I burst out laughing with undisguised contempt. With what qualifications? I've ranked at the top throughout elementary and middle school, even in your so-called best subject, math. You scored nearly 10 points lower than me on last week's test. How exactly did you tutor me? I could almost let slide your delusion that I like you. Given my excellence, I understand why you'd harbor such wishful thinking, but crediting my academic success to your tutoring, that's an outright insult. And you told teachers I was harassing you. The sheer audacity. The more I spoke, the angrier I got. I lunged forward and slapped Lu Xiaoyuan twice, hard for fine. I like you so much that I wish you'd just die, you trash, you scum, you shameless, pretentious bastard. 2 sharp slaps echoed through the room, leaving everyone in stunned silence. To the outside world, I've always maintained the image of a bookworm, quiet, reserved, and utterly detached from worldly affairs, with my nose perpetually buried in ancient texts. When have they ever seen me lose my composure like this? That bastard Lu Xiaoyuan left me no choice but to snap, realizing there were no restrictions on beating the male lead. I nearly lost my mind with glee. Seeing red, I wound up and aimed a full-force kick straight at Lu Xiaoyuan's family jewels. Go to hell, you bitch. My father quickly wrapped an arm around my waist. Easy now, easy, daddy's here, I've got your back. Panting heavily, I reluctantly lowered my foot while shooting Lu Xiaoyuan a murderous glare. If looks could kill, Lu Xiaoyuan would have been sliced to ribbons by now. He covered his face, staring at me in stunned silence. The shock quickly faded, replaced by bottomless resentment surging from his eyes. How could you hit someone? Li Jiaying was the first to react, shielding Lu Xiaoyuan behind her. That lying bitch deserves every punch. I shot back a glare. Keep yapping and I'll take you down too. Li Jiaying's face turned pale, then flushed with anger. She clearly wanted to pull rank and lecture me, but spotting the livid principal and dean standing behind me, her eyes darted shrewdly before she launched into fresh accusations. Principal, just look at Zhao Shiqing's attitude. Alright, the principal cut her off sharply. We have eyes, we know right from wrong. Lu Xiaoyuan bowed and apologized to me in front of the entire class. To clarify, we were never childhood sweethearts, and my top-ranking citywide grades had nothing to do with him. Every last bit of it was just his delusional fantasy. Li Jiaying also apologized to me in front of the principal and the dean of academic affairs. She shouldn't have believed the rumors and acted on impulse, which led to the misunderstanding. Staring at their rigid, contorted faces, I smiled and enunciated each word. I don't accept your apology. You've been disgusting me for so long, and you think a half-assed sorry just makes it all go away. Seeing the venomous hatred swirling in Lu Xiaoyuan's eyes, I scoffed. Do me a favor and stay the hell away. If I hear one more word about secret affairs, childhood sweethearts, or me having feelings for you, my 2 slaps had landed with brutal force, leaving one side of his face grotesquely swollen. I continued coldly, I'll beat you senseless every time our paths cross. Understood. Turning to Li Jiaying's ashen face, I said with mock sincerity, Professor, if you fancy Lu Xiaoyuan, go for it. Sure, he's underage, spreads smut about girls, and deludes himself into thinking everyone wants him, but with your qualifications, he'd gladly become your live-in boy toy. Only then did my father intervene. Enough, that's your teacher you're talking to. Oops, sorry teach, guess the truth just slipped out. I offered the apology with practiced ease, grinning at Li Jiaying's contorted face with crescent-eyed amusement. She trembled with rage, but before my father, the principal, and others, there was nothing she could do. This round went to me, a total victory. When I got home, my dad brought up the idea of transferring schools. He was worried that today's incident might affect my future school life. And more importantly, he also felt that Lu Xiaoyuan was a bit off. He somehow got hold of my private number and sent me these. My dad handed me the phone, and the moment I glanced at it, wow, Lu Xiaoyuan was being so obsequious. He claimed it was all just a misunderstanding fueled by classmates teasing, and since he happened to have feelings for me too, he just went along with it. Never expected it would cause me so much trouble. He also mentioned being grateful to my dad for helping him reclaim his parents' house years ago. Now that he's moved back He wants to properly apologize to me and thank my parents. My fists clenched instantly. Why won't this Lu Xiaoyuan just leave me alone? I took a deep breath and replied directly using my dad's phone. Sure, come on over. Lu Xiaoyuan was very enthusiastic. Just an hour after putting down the phone, he was already ringing my doorbell. When I opened the door, he seemed surprised to see me at first, but quickly broke into a smile. Cutting to the chase, thanks on my dad's behalf, received, but the apology, still not accepted. Now get lost. Lu Xiaoyuan's smile faded. Little orange, must you? I shuddered. Don't call me that, we're not that close, use my name or get out. Okay, Zhao Shiqing. His smile faded as he looked at me earnestly. I have to ask, why do you have such a strong bias against me? Yes, I messed up this time, but before that, have I ever done anything to upset you? What about you? Why are you so determined to keep clinging to me? I can't figure it out either. My dad helped you, didn't he? He didn't hurt you, so why would you spread those dirty rumors about me? By now, I could guess that Lu Xiaoyuan might have sensed it too. Just like me, his entire life as the male lead was essentially sustained by the flesh and blood of the female lead's family. Without me, without my parents, he could never have become the accomplished man he is today, so he instinctively drew closer to me as the female lead. I already knew the consequences of getting involved with the male protagonist to avoid a tragic ending of family ruin and personal devastation. Keeping my distance from Lu Xiaoyuan became my fundamental survival instinct. I don't know what's going through your mind, but I know for certain, I could never, ever fall for someone with such despicable character. My parents would never help someone who spreads lewd rumors about their daughter. There's no way, absolutely no way. He's leeching off me, so, no matter what your intentions are, it's best to stop here. Otherwise, remembering those two slaps landing on Lu Xiaoyuan's face, that deep, satisfying thrill spreading from within made the corner of my mouth curl up involuntarily. I don't know what else I can do. You're going to regret this. Lu Xiaoyuan finally dropped his pretense, openly revealing his resentment and malice toward me. Your life won't always be this smooth sailing, and one day, I'll become someone you can't reach. Not a problem. I shot back, unfazed. Here's hoping you actually build something with your own two hands, not just mooch off someone else's hard work. Lu Xiaoyuan left with a dark expression. From that day on, Lu Xiaoyuan and I finally kept to our own sides of the fence. He's dead set on outscoring me academically, hell-bent on crushing me in grades. Throughout high school, no matter how hard he tried, I always held the top spot, first in my grade, and even first in the entire city. A male lead who can't draw blood from the female lead is just this week after the college entrance exam, I got into my dream top university, while Lu Xiaoyuan, unable to match my success, fell apart mentally and barely made it into a second-tier university. Unlike the Lu Xiaoyuan from the original storyline who showed remarkable talent in mathematics, this version, without the support from me and my parents, has faded into complete mediocrity. After graduation, I pursued further studies abroad and later built a successful career back home. Lu Xiaoyuan and I had long since moved in different worlds, yet I kept watching him even as the plot spiraled out of control. The current Lu Xiaoyuan bore no resemblance to the genius tycoon from the original storyline. I still monitored his every move, nudging the gears of fate whenever his life showed signs of improvement. Let Lu Xiaoyuan return to mediocrity where he belongs. The older I grew, reaching the same age as in the original storyline, the more those memories haunted me. My father died from rage, my mother fell ill, and I slaved away at a barbecue joint just to scrape together her medical bills. There stood Lu Xiaoyuan in his tailored suit, parading his mistress before me like some pompous CEO. That condescending look of his, I'll never forget it as long as I live. That's why I can't stand to see Lu Xiaoyuan doing well. He deserves to end up just like me in the original plot, mediocre, miserable, and hopeless for the rest of his life. One day, long afterward, I ran into Lu Xiaoyuan on my way home. His expression was dark and menacing, his gaze fixed on me like I was his greatest enemy. You knew all along, didn't you? So you stopped your parents from adopting me, leaving me to end up in an orphanage, and then you kept undermining and manipulating me, which led me to become who I am today. Zhao Shiqing, you've ruined me. Don't you feel the slightest guilt or remorse? I couldn't help but laugh. Why on earth should I feel guilty? I just don't want strangers in my home, don't want my father's kindness to be taken for granted, don't want my family torn apart, and certainly don't want to be stabbed in the back by some ungrateful wretch. What did I do wrong? I looked at Lu Xiaoyuan's sallow, haggard face, his greasy hair and clothes stained with black grime, my expression twisting in disgust. I didn't drive your father to his grave, didn't make your mother sick, didn't force you out penniless, we're absolutely nothing to each other now. How can you blame a stranger for your own lack of effort in becoming like this? Lu Xiaoyuan's face flushed crimson with fury, but upon seeing the amusement on my face, he eerily calmed down, his expression hardening into a reckless, nothing left to lose resolve. Zhao Shiqing, I've got nothing left now, but you're different, your parents are still alive, and your business is so big, media and competitors are all watching you. Tell me, if I were to do something before I could finish. He just kept smiling at me. I looked at him calmly. You can try, Lu. Xiaoyuan went back and gave it a try, but this is a society ruled by law. I haven't broken any laws, committed any crimes, or done anything morally wrong. He tried to pull the same old stunt, spreading lewd rumors, but they were blocked before he could even post them. Trying to contact my competitors again, what billionaire entrepreneur would believe some barbecue joint worker actually has dirt on their rivals? Driven to desperation, Lu Xiaoyuan began losing his grip on reality. The next time I saw him was in a tabloid news report. He mugged a passerby for their suit, ranting about being a math prodigy and the billionaire CEO of a listed company. He even tried to beat up a pregnant woman, blaming her for seducing him and ruining his marriage. The woman's husband beat him so badly he couldn't even crawl away. Later, I heard he was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Eventually, Lu Xiaoyuan, the original male lead in this story, vanished completely from my life. My parents are healthy and happy, enjoying a fulfilling life and thriving in their careers. This is the life that should belong to the female lead. Story 2. Yu Zichen finally decided to end our decade-long relationship on the very day he was preparing for our grand wedding. I received messages and photos from a stranger. In the photos, Yu Zichen stood beside her, beaming with joy. What's the point of forcing him to marry you? He stopped loving you long ago. I refused to endure this emotional turmoil, shoving my phone in Yu Zichen's face and demanding an explanation. He'd been smoking in the living room all night, and came into the bedroom at dawn to tell me, she's my student, but I did develop feelings for her, that's all there is to it. After 10 years together, I can't accept ending our relationship over some photos. I put on my wedding dress and let the ceremony proceed as planned, but then my assistant Xiaoli suddenly rushed up to Yu Zichen and said, Professor Yu, something's happened to your student Lin. She found out you're getting married. The diamond ring hovered mid-air before crashing to the ground. Yu Zichen bolted for the door like a lightning strike. With red-rimmed eyes, I screamed after him, if you walk out that door today, we're through for good. He paused mid-step, then strode out of the wedding venue without hesitation. My heart clenched painfully as I scrolled through the endless stream of photos on my phone. Not a single intimate couple photo, just moments of her eyes sparkling with concentration while immersed in research. That instant at dinner, when she pouted her lips, feigning annoyance, that moment of pure joy when you get a bonus, laughing without a care in the world. Most of them were just quick snapshots, only a few were proper selfies where I'm playfully posing for the camera. If this had happened before, I would have stormed right up to Yu Zichen, smashed my phone in his face, and walked away from the breakup like a boss. But now, just tomorrow, we're finally reaching the finish line of our decade-long journey in love. We're making it official and tying the knot. We've informed all our loved ones, booked the venue, and sent out the invitations. Happiness is just within our grasp, and of all times, I had to discover something like this. Unwilling to face it, I forced back my tears and took a deep breath. I decided to lay my cards on the table and demand an explanation from Yu Zichen. Yu Zichen is an exceptional man. At such a young age, he became the youngest core researcher at the National Research Institute. He was also a renowned doctoral advisor at Hua University. After 10 years of weathering life storms together, I knew his character inside out. I placed the photo in front of him, my eyes rimmed with an unsettling shade of red. A flicker of panic crossed Yu Zichen's eyes, then settled into undisturbed calm. He probably never intended to keep it from me. Through the long, 8-hour night, he smoked 2 whole packs of cigarettes in the living room, while I watched the stars all night from the bedroom. Early the next morning, before the makeup artist knocked on the door, he walked into the bedroom and confessed to me, this girl is my student, named Lin Wanbai. I admit, I've developed feelings for her. My heart, which had been hanging in the air, suddenly sank. Then I heard Yu Zichen say, but Xiyu, it hasn't been easy for us to get to where we are today. I'll have her lead my research group, and I promise you nothing like this will ever happen again. Yu Zichen assured me with genuine sincerity. In all these 10 years, he never once broke a promise to me. I couldn't bear to let go of this decade-long bond, nor sever this love that runs deeper than marrow and sinew, so I chose to forgive until at the wedding, the officiant asked that solemn question, Do you take Fu Shiyu to be your lifelong partner, to honor, love, and cherish her for all your days? My heart pounded with anxiety, thumping wildly in my chest. I waited for him to give this relationship, the perfect ending it deserved, but at his assistant's words, he flung the diamond ring onto the cold, hard floor. Everyone watched in stunned silence as he bolted from the wedding venue. I was left behind. Yuzichin broke his promise. The wedding descended into chaos. Neither set of parents knew what had actually happened. Assistant Lee's eyes darted nervously as he explained with urgency. One of the professor's students ran into some trouble. She has crucial research materials. The professor just went to check on the situation. I'm sure she'll be back soon. Lee had been working under Yuzichin for 8 years. All these years, he'd always treated me with respect, greeting me with a warm smile and addressing me as professor's wife. But now, he doesn't even have the courage to look me in the eye. I have no idea how much he's been helping Yuzichin keep from me. What exactly is going on between Yuzichin and that girl named Lin Wanbai? A dense, suffocating pain began spreading through my chest. Tears kept falling uncontrollably, hitting the ground one by one. I truly felt the sting of Yuzichin's betrayal. My parents held my hands, looking helpless and anxious. This is absurd. What could possibly be more important than your wedding? How could he just drop everything and leave Shiyu like that? Hasn't Zichin always been the responsible type? How could he mess things up at such a crucial moment like his wedding? His uncle and aunt felt terribly guilty and immediately rose from their seats. His father called him while his mother held my hand, patiently comforting me. Shiyu, don't you worry, that boy Zichin is just a workaholic. His female colleague might genuinely have important documents. Rest assured, when that rascal comes back, I'll make sure he gives you a proper apology. I clutched the diamond ring so tightly that it pierced the skin of my palm, leaving behind a mark streaked with blood. There were quite a few of Yuzichin's colleagues at the wedding venue. They were staring at me. Utterly bewildered, I lowered my head, laughing until tears streamed down my face. Yuzichin promised me he would cut ties with that girl, but now something has happened to her. He dropped everything and rushed to her without a second thought. For 3 solid hours, Yuzichin didn't answer a single one of our calls. Instinctively, he rushed off to save that girl. He never stopped to think how utterly helpless and humiliating it would be for me, the bride, to be abandoned at our own wedding. The venue was a chaotic cacophony, with lights glaring blindingly. I stood alone at the wedding venue, enduring the guests' strange looks and whispered comments from both sides. Overwhelmed with rage, my vision went completely black. Shiyu. The moment my mother rushed toward me, I collapsed straight to the ground. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. The doctor gently advised me, "You're eating for 2 now. Try not to get upset easily and take good care of yourself." I touched my stomach, and my heart sank. My aunt and uncle standing nearby, along with my parents, were absolutely thrilled. "Sweetheart, you're carrying a little one in your belly. What a wonderful daughter-in-law. Zichin is so lucky to have married you." I looked at them and forced a strained, bitter smile. Yuzukin's mother joyfully grasped my mother's hands, her expression brimming with emotion. "This is absolutely wonderful. We're going to have a grandchild. What a relief after that scare." 2 happy events at once. Tears welled up in her eyes. Happy, honestly, I feel this child came at the worst possible time, just when I'm about to give up on Yuzichin. Fate always dangles a glimmer of hope before me. I drew a deep breath, my entire body trembling uncontrollably. Mom noticed something was off with me and looked at me with concern in her eyes. "Sweetie, does your tummy hurt? The doctor said you got really worked up. Are you feeling okay?" I could no longer hold back my tears as they welled up and spilled from my eyes. My parents' biggest worry over the years has been my marriage. Mom always wanted me to get married early, but I kept putting it off for Yuzichin's career. Now they're finally getting their wish to see me walk down the aisle, but trouble has started brewing between Yuzichin and me too. The door swung open as Yuzichin rushed in. His aunt and uncle visibly relaxed at the sight of him, then immediately started scolding. "What were you thinking, running out on your own wedding? You've made Shiyu absolutely furious." To be fair, they were quite open-minded as relatives go, and had always treated me well over the years. They were always worried that Yuzichin would hold me back, so they kept pushing him to marry me and take responsibility. But Yuzichin is stubborn and never listened to them. Feeling guilty, his parents kept finding excuses to give me gold bracelets and the latest designer bags, and from the incident until today's wedding, they've always had my back. What Zichin did was despicable, but I have to save face for his parents. I wiped my tears and gave them a faint smile. "I'm fine. Could you please step out and let me talk with Zichin alone?" His parents nodded in agreement. Yuzukin's parents gave him the cold shoulder. Before leaving the hospital room, They made sure to tell him to give me a proper apology. Yuzukin looked pale, and there was a guilty look in his eyes when he glanced at me. The hospital room was dead silent. Neither of us broke the silence first. After a long while, Yuzichin held my cold hand, remained quiet for a moment, and spoke with a strained voice. Shiyu, in all these 10 years, I've never asked you for anything, and our relationship has always been good, but this time, I'm begging you, please don't speak of this matter to anyone. I don't want it to reflect poorly on Wanbai. Will you do that for me? He abandoned me, fleeing our wedding to go to a girl who had attempted suicide over him. Even now, as I lie in this hospital bed, his heart still leans toward her. My heart clenched with such sudden pain that I could hardly breathe. I used to believe that in a lifetime, no one can promise to love just one person. Yuzichin was just temporarily lost. I can forgive him for that. The look in Yuzichin's eyes as he said this was far too earnest. His attitude made it impossible for me to keep pretending ignorance and treating that girl's situation as trivial. I lowered my head, laughing until tears streamed down my face. Yuzichin, you shouldn't be pleading with me. You should be apologizing to me. Yuzichin's gaze froze. The stiff smile on my lips vanished abruptly. A cold wind blew outside the window, chilling me to the bone. Though seething with anger and resentment, I managed to keep my voice calm. When you recklessly walked out of our wedding today, did you ever stop to think how that would make me feel, with hundreds of guests watching? You just left. What do you take me for? What do you take my family for? Yuzichin, this wedding wasn't just my dream, it's what my entire family has been looking forward to for 10 long years. A person's gut reaction never lies. He never considered how humiliating it was for me to be left alone at the wedding. He didn't even care why I ended up in the hospital. The first thing he mentioned was Lin Wanbai. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, falling in rapid succession from the corners of my mouth onto the blue sheets. A damp patch slowly spread. I forced a single word from my constricted throat. Seeing my anger, Yuzichin's tone softened. Shiyu, I was wrong to run out on our wedding, but it was a matter of life and death. I'm sorry. I know this must be hard for you, and your parents will probably have their reservations too, but Shiyu, I just can't stand by and watch someone's life hang in the balance. He's such a compassionate person. We first met at an off-campus veterinary clinic. Yuzichin brought in a stray cat with an injured leg for treatment. I brought my puppy in for his shots. The vet said, you two are really kindred spirits, just like you. This young lady often brings rescued stray cats to me. Our connection began with a single act of kindness from Yuzichin. All those past memories make it hard for me to be resolute. I looked into his eyes. What happens after that? Will you refuse to marry me forever because of her? Or will you leave me for her? Yuzichin remained silent for a long time, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Just as I was about to lose hope, he took my hand, his voice calm and resolute. Shiyu, I told you I would never leave you. We've been together for 10 years. No one understands me better or is more compatible with me than you. About Wanbai, she's emotionally fragile right now. I think, if we wait a bit longer, say 6 months, just 6 months, before getting married, would that be alright? Yuzichin made his promise to me once again. He once made me wait a full decade for his career. Now he's asking me to wait another 6 months for some other girl. If it were for anything else, I'd actually be willing to keep waiting. After all, I've already invested so many years. Youth fades in a blink, and beauty withers with time. I can't afford to wait, but what can I do? I love him, but honestly, he didn't have to go to such lengths. It's just a change of heart. I can handle it. A suffocating weight pressed on my chest, burning through my entire being. A tiny life was growing inside me, waiting for me to nurture it. I thought for the longest time, my mind filled with that girl's radiant smile and the adoring look Yuzichin had while gazing at his phone. The heavy weight in my chest gradually lifted. Suddenly, I don't want to wait anymore. I slipped my hand out of his and spoke softly. Yuzichin, I'm not a clever girl. I've loved you since I was 18, a full 10 years now. I remember how you were trembling with nervousness when you first confessed your feelings to me. Your demeanor that day made me both amused and smitten. I remember when I agreed to be your girlfriend, you held me in your arms and cried tears of joy. That was the first time I experienced love beyond family bonds. Over the years, you bought me everything I liked, fulfilled every promise you made, and kept every vow you swore to me. For this past decade, I've always felt your love for me runs bone deep. I looked up, and tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. But today, I feel, you don't love me anymore. Just those words, don't love me. It completely shattered me. 10 years together have given us countless beautiful memories. Yuzichin seemed genuinely moved. his eyes reddening as a single tear traced down from the corner, but the moment was fleeting, gone in the blink of an eye. He wiped away his tears and said to me, "But Shiyu, if I marry you now, she won't be able to take it. I'm afraid she might do something drastic again. Just wait a little longer. I promise I'll give you a home, I swear." "Alright." As soon as Yuzichin finished speaking, my parents walked in. He held my hand, looking at me with anxious eyes. It felt like he was waiting for an answer, and also seemed afraid I might spill the beans and tarnish that girl's reputation. 10 years of weathering life's storms together, and now with a child on the way, my mind is in complete turmoil. "Just give me some time to think this through." "Alright, get some rest now. I'll pick you up from the hospital tomorrow." After Yuzichin left, my parents asked me with concern, "Sweetheart, did something upset you? If you're having second thoughts, we don't have to go through with the wedding. Your father and I will always take care of you." Not wanting to worry them, and still uncertain how to handle the situation, I just shook my head with a faint smile. "I'm not upset, just exhausted." The next day, I packed my things and waited for Yuzichin in the hospital room. He never showed up. Around noon, he sent me a message. "Did Mom and Dad pick you up? I still have work at the lab. See you at home tonight." Without giving it much thought, I followed my parents out of the hospital room, but in the hallway, I ran into Yuzichin and that girl. He didn't notice me. His entire focus was on Lin Wanbai, whom he was supporting in his arms. She was tall and slender, with an innocent look about her, and large, round eyes. This was my first time seeing her. So this was Lin Wanbai, the girl who had slit her wrists for Yuzichin. The one who made the ever-composed Yuzichin lose his composure at a wedding. I must have been staring too long, because the girl finally noticed me. Her face went pale, the medicine box slipped from her hand, and she nervously grabbed Yuzichin's arm. She looked like a frightened little rabbit caught doing something wrong. Yuzichin glanced over and spotted me. A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes as he approached me and my parents. Before my parents could even voice their questions, Yuzichin quickly explained, "Uncle, Auntie, this is my colleague. She's a relative of Xiaoli's. Xiaoli was busy today, so he asked me to bring her to the hospital for a checkup." 3. Seeing Lin Wanbai's guilty expression, my parents looked at him with a mixture of doubt and suspicion. "Oh really? Then why didn't I see you come pick up Shiyu?" Yuzichin froze awkwardly, casting a pleading glance in my direction. I chuckled, having no intention of covering for him. "Isn't she the girl you abandoned me at our wedding to rescue? Since when did she become Xiaoli's family member?" The smile on Yuzichin's face froze, and he spoke with displeasure. "Shiyu, stop making a scene. Mom and Dad are still here, and this is a hospital. Don't let outsiders laugh at us. Yesterday, at the wedding, you abandoned me, the bride, to go find her. Today, at the hospital, you left me, a pregnant woman, to accompany her for her checkup." It does sound like a joke. I stepped forward and handed the discharge request to the nurse. I ignored Yuzichin completely. The corridor was bustling with people. Yuzichin's face darkened, his expression growing increasingly mortified. "Shiyu, stop making a scene." Her parents furrowed their brows, as if realizing something, their faces flushing with mounting anger. Her mother pointed at Lin Wanbai and Yuzichin, seething with rage as she began to speak. "Xiaoyu, what gives you the right to yell at Shiyu? You said you were working overtime and couldn't pick her up, yet here you are. Is this what you call working overtime?" Mother's questioning left Yuzichin with no way to defend himself. "No, Auntie, Lin Wanbai hurried over, her eyes slightly reddened. She stepped in front of Yuzichin and repeatedly bowed to me and my parents in front of everyone. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Teacher. It's my fault for causing trouble for you and the teacher." "Mrs. Teacher, I really am Senior Lee's family member. I'm his cousin. The teacher brought me to the hospital because he was worried about potential complications with my hand." Her explanation sounded so reasonable that it made our family seem unreasonable. Instead, my patience ran out as I turned to Yuzichin, whose face was grim. "Don't act like I've embarrassed you. You're the one who wronged me." I left the hospital with my parents. On the way home, Mom held my hand, seething with silent anger. I knew she had a million questions burning inside her, but I had no idea how to even begin. Accuse Yuzichin of cheating. He didn't. Are people saying Yuzichin has changed his heart? How do they put it? My phone lit up in my hand with a text message from Yuzichin. "Shiyu, don't be mad. I'm sorry about earlier. I bought you a gift. Remember to sign for it when it arrives." When my parents and I got home, we saw an exquisitely decorated little cake sitting on the floor. I'm a bit spoiled and have a weakness for romance. Whenever Yuzichin upsets me, he always gives me a Disney castle-shaped cake. I've been eating them for 10 years, and honestly, I'm long tired of them, but Yuzichin is just so busy. It breaks my heart to see him burning the midnight oil on research every day. Then still having to put effort into cheering me up, so every time I received this cake, I'd put on a show of delight hoping he'd share in the happiness. Now, I don't have to pretend anymore. I gave the cake to the neighbor's kid and sent a reply to Yuzichin after 10 years, just like with you. Even the most delicious cake has lost its appeal. Yuzichin seemed to pick up on my veiled criticism and sent back an apology. That was thoughtless of me. Tomorrow, I'll personally go to the mall to pick out a gift for you. The following evening, Yuzichin rang my doorbell. His eyes sparkled as he beamed with joy. He held out a box to show me. Shiyu, I picked out this necklace for you. Isn't it beautiful? The box was gleaming right in front of me. To be perfectly honest, the necklace was truly stunning. It was just as beautiful as the one I'd seen around Lin Wanbai's neck in Yuzichin's phone. I gave him a soft chuckle. So this is the gift you spent all day at the amusement park carefully selecting with her. A flicker of surprise crossed Yuzichin's eyes. He explained, no, Shiyu, don't get the wrong idea. I'm just terrible at picking gifts, so I asked her for some advice, and to avoid any misunderstanding, I specifically invited a whole group of people to come along. Look, this is a photo of us having hot pot together. With that, Yuzichin opened his phone and showed me a group photo of him with several people. To be honest, if I hadn't already seen Lin Wanbai's social media post earlier, I might have actually believed it was just an ordinary get-together. I didn't have the strength to say another word, and my whole body slumped against the door. What about the amusement park? Why did you have to go with her alone? I held up my phone and showed Yuzichin the WeChat Moments post that Lin Wanbai had shared. In the photo, she and Yuzichin are beaming with radiant smiles, looking every bit the picture-perfect couple. The photo of them sharing a hot pot meal made them look even more like one big happy family. Yuzichin's pupils dilated in mild astonishment. How did you get Wanbai's contact information? After 10 years together, I've always felt completely secure with Yuzichin. He's handsome and the youngest doctoral advisor. Countless female students have had crushes on him over the years, but I never worried because I've always believed he's a responsible man who remains faithful in relationships. It turns out my instincts over the past 9 years were right all along, and it also proves I overestimated Yuzichin. She added me just last night. I wasn't going to accept, but Lin Wanbai kept apologizing in the friend request list. So close, just a little bit more. Just that tiny bit away. I thought Yuzichin's feelings for her were one-sided. My ungrateful attitude probably made Yuzichin feel embarrassed. He frowned and impatiently set down the jewelry box in his hand. Get out, Shiyu. I won't break my promise to you. And there's nothing going on between me and her. Going to the amusement park is just to say goodbye, so please don't be so sensitive. To put your mind at ease, I've already invited a group of people to have hot pot together. Are you still worried? Yuzichin is losing his temper with me. In the past, he wouldn't even dare to raise his voice at me. I looked up and studied Yuzichin with a serious gaze. If you had any sense of propriety as a man, I wouldn't have come to this. After all this time, Yuzichin has become a complete stranger to me. Over the years, he's achieved great success in his career, radiating confidence and vigor. He's shed his youthful immaturity and grown into a much more steady man. Yuzichin, who would keep his distance from all other girls for me, is gone now. Perhaps I should let go of this obsession, release these 10 years. Let's give each other a way out. I took one last look at Yuzichin and gave a clear-headed smile. Yuzichin, let's end things here and go our separate ways. After I said this, Yuzichin's face didn't show the relief and happiness I had expected. The anger on his face lingered for a long time. Shiyu, I just took her to the amusement park once, I replied calmly. Third time's the charm. Yuzichin fell silent for a long while, so angry that he punched the wall in front of me. In the end, with a dark expression, he said nothing and turned to leave. Letting go of a 10-year relationship is no easy feat. That night, I couldn't sleep a wink since we'd decided to part ways. I got up and started packing my belongings from around the house. As I tossed things into storage boxes, memories came flooding back unbidden. The year I graduated, Yuzichin had just started at Hua University and was swamped with work. A year later, he came to me with a 10-year contract and 5 million yuan. He placed it in my hands. Shiyu, I promised you a home, and I always keep my word. The boy from my memory was sincere and brave. The fire of your love burned brighter than the rising sun. That day, with tear-reddened eyes, we held each other tight. I Bought this apartment with a swipe of my bank card. We shared a passionate kiss bathed in the sunset's glow. We went to IKEA with flushed cheeks to pick out furniture. We chattered away like two little birds, sharing every thought. The string lights on the balcony were our joint project, and the rocking chair holds 10 years of our endless chatter snuggled on the living room rug. We shared a watermelon and sodas while watching cheesy Hong Kong and Taiwanese idol dramas. He promised to build a home with me. Now I'm forced to sever these ties and walk away from what we built. It took me 3 days to clear out everything that belonged to me. When the movers arrived, I broke the news of our separation to both families. Both sets of parents rushed over in a panic. My parents respected my decision and didn't say a word, but my aunt anxiously grabbed my hand and asked, "Oh dear, what happened? Why did you two break up so suddenly, Shiyu?" I know Zichen handled the wedding situation poorly, but didn't you two already sort it out? How did it escalate to a breakup? Uncle pressed his lips together and asked me anxiously, "That's right, you've been together for 10 years. How could you suddenly decide to break up?" This is just, I was too ashamed to tell them what Zichen had done, and so it remains to this day. None of them understood why we had to part ways. Shiyu, you're getting married soon. Every couple has arguments, it's no reason to actually break up. I remained silent, directing the movers as they carried out box after box. Just as his parents were wearing themselves out pleading, Zichen unexpectedly returned. Trailing behind was Lin Wanbai, dressed in a white gown. The room fell silent as everyone stared at the two of them with varied expressions. Zichen's mother abruptly stopped mid-sentence while trying to persuade me. When she spoke again, her voice trembled slightly. Zichen, did you do something to hurt Shiryu? Yuzukin's father glared, his eyes wide with fury. Son, who is this woman? Yuzukin remained silent. He scanned the half-empty room, then glanced at me. Where are you moving to? He remained as composed and rational as ever, calmly accepting my departure. No explanation was given, no attempt to make me stay. He even brought Lin Wanbai back here without a second thought. I said calmly, "Move back to my real home." Zichen nodded. "All right. I'll come find you in a few days." After speaking, he pulled Lin Wanbai to his side and introduced her to everyone. "This is my research assistant. She's been under the weather lately, so I brought her by the house for a checkup and to stay for dinner." Zichen made the introduction with complete composure, not a hint of unease in his manner. Both sets of parents were completely baffled. "And you spoke up," her voice tinged with anxiety. "Son, Shiyu is about to break up with you, and you still have the nerve to bring students home for dinner." Zichen furrowed his brow at his aunt's words. His chest heaved a couple of times before he spoke with an impassive expression. "I called off the wedding and upset Shiyu. It's probably for the best that she goes home for a few days to clear her head. Mom, please stay out of this." And you seemed ready to say more. Lin Wanbai suddenly stepped forward, warmly linking arms with her while beaming sweetly. "Auntie, I'm Professor Yu's student. He's been so kind to me at the institute, and he even said he'd treat me to dinner today to celebrate my discharge from the hospital. But I couldn't possibly trouble the professor to cook. Since you and uncle are here, why not let me show you my culinary skills?" Auntie was perceptive. She glanced at Yuzukin's stony expression, then turned to look at my calm demeanor, as if sensing something was off. Shaking off Lin Wanbai's hand, she walked toward me with concern. "Shiyu, why don't we all sit down and talk this through? The movers have finished moving all the luggage." Just as I was about to refuse, Lin Wanbai cut me off, her eyes sparkling with smug defiance. "Shiyu, you should agree with Auntie. Why don't you stay for dinner and try my cooking? What do you say? Last time we met, you called me master's wife. Now you're already changing how you address me." I looked at her with a cold sneer, ready to refuse when, everything changed in an instant. A stinging red handprint bloomed on Lin Wanbai's cheek. My eyes widened as I watched Mom slap Lin Wanbai across the face. Mom's eyes were bloodshot, and her voice trembled when she looked at me. "I gave birth to you. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" That day at the hospital, I saw Zichen holding this girl's arm, acting intimately. She still had bandages wrapped around her wrist from a suicide attempt. "So Zichen left you at the altar for her, didn't he? And you broke up with him because of her too, right? You've been with Zichen since you were 18, 10 whole years of your youth. You gave up your privileged life to learn cooking, knitting, swallowing your pride for him. If things hadn't become unbearable, would you have really left him and come home? I never expected you to find someone perfect, but today, when Zichen shows up with that woman to humiliate you right to your face, that's something I won't stand for. If my daughter won't stand up for herself, then I'll do it for her." My mother's words carried undeniable weight. Lin Wanbai covered her face, the complaint she was about to voice dying in her throat. The aunt and uncle stood frozen in shock. Only Yu Zichen looked at Lin Wanbai with evident concern. He shot me a displeased look, his voice icy cold. Shiyu, aren't you a bit old to be tattling to your parents? Before Yu Zichen could finish, Aunt Yu rushed out and slapped Yu Zichen across the face. You little rascal, watch your mouth. Do you even know Shiyu is pregnant? How could you do these despicable things to her? When Yu Zichen heard I was pregnant, profound shock flashed in his eyes. He gazed at me, his voice trembling slightly with a barely perceptible hint of delight. Shiyu, you're pregnant. He walked toward me, beaming with sheer delight. My mother stepped in front of me, blocking his path with a stern expression. My daughter has already broken up with you. The child she's carrying is none of your concern. At those words, a flicker of panic flashed in Yu Zichen's eyes. What do you mean it's none of my business? I'm the child's father. The mother pointed at him angrily, her voice trembling slightly. What kind of father are you? Are you even in a relationship with my daughter? Did you get married? Did you have a wedding banquet? Don't even think about claiming any connection now. Not a chance. The sounds of arguing and attempts to mediate grew louder, and it was clear the situation was about to spiral out of control. With a grim expression, I pulled a medical consultation form from the drawer under the coffee table and placed it in front of Yu Zichen. Do you know what I regret most in my life? Yu Zichen picked up the consultation form and anxiously began flipping through it. His face lit up with joy as he stared at the ultrasound report tucked inside. He murmured to himself, I'm going to be a father. I'm really going to be a father. Seeing Yu Zichen's dazed expression, Aunt Yu quickly nudged him with her elbow. Hurry up and apologize to Shiyu. Yu Zichen snapped out of it, looking up at me with joy in his eyes. Shiyu, you're pregnant. You're carrying my child. It's our baby, the fruit of our love. I'm going to be a father. The joy on his face was unmistakably genuine, yet because of the girl he brought home, I was already making plans to leave. It would be a lie to say it didn't hurt. I gazed at him, my throat tightening. Yu Zichen, you're not fit to be a father. I've decided not to keep this child. At her words, Yu Zichen's pupils constricted sharply. His uncle and aunt grew visibly agitated. Absolutely not. Shiyu, this is your own flesh and blood. How can you consider termination so lightly? I placed a hand on my belly, feeling a gentle warmth within, cradling the little life I'd been longing for over 10 years. My heart ached at the thought of letting go, but when I looked up, I saw Lin Wanbai standing behind Yu Zichen. No one can bear the thought of their husband falling in love with someone else. I don't want to turn into the kind of shrewish woman I've always despised. After 10 years together, I have nothing to apologize to Yu Zichen for now that I'm choosing to leave. My conscience is clear. If I feel any guilt, it's toward Uncle and Aunt Yu for failing to live up to their kindness. I pointed at Lin Wanbai while looking at the elderly couple. Uncle, Auntie, my mother was right. This girl is the reason Yu Zichen jilted his bride at the altar. She took her own life for Yu Zichen, and he had feelings for her too. My words detonated like a time bomb in the stillness. Mrs. Yu's eyes widened as she stared at her son in disbelief. What, son, you told us you skipped the wedding just to retrieve documents? You, my mother gripped my hand, her face growing even more ashen. You monster, you're ruining my daughter's life. Yu Zichen's face turned purple with rage as he vehemently denied the accusations. No, Mom, Dad, uncles, aunts, please let me explain. What's there to explain? My daughter has already decided to break up with you, and you still bring this girl here to rub our faces in it. If that's not cheating, what is? My mother stared at Yu Zichen, absolutely furious. Yu Zichen glanced at Lin Wanbai, whose face was frighteningly pale, and pressed his lips together. Auntie, there's really nothing between us, she's just my student. Lin Wanbai quickly caught on and nodded immediately. That's right, there's nothing between me and Mr. Yu, we're just teacher and student. Her hesitant tone only added more fuel to the fire. My mother straightened her back and stepped in front of me. Yu Zichen, you've been with my daughter for 10 whole years, you know exactly how much pain she's endured. I won't mince words today. This is about my daughter's future happiness. I don't care how you plan to resolve this, but mark my words, unless she forgives you, you won't get anywhere near her again. My mother stated her case firmly, pushed past the aunt and uncle who were trying to stop us, and led me away from the scene. On the way home, Mom held my hand tightly. She looked at me, sighed deeply several times, then turned her head toward the window with a worried expression. I know she's worried about me. My parents have always had a great relationship. which set my expectations for love very high. I used to dream of having a perfect marriage and marrying an exceptional man. You Zichin lived up to every single one of my expectations. You also single-handedly shattered all my hopes. Saying I'm not upset would be a lie, but even the deepest sorrow fades with the passage of time. If I were to swallow my pride and pretend not to see or hear today, keep his affair with Lin Wanbai under wraps, it's not hard to imagine how much grief I'll have to endure in the future. Leaving someone you've loved deeply and for so long is like jumping from a crashing plane midair. You feel weightless, terrified. The moment I touch down safely, a new life awaits me. I squeezed my mother's hand back and gave a soft smile. I'm fine, Mom, let's go home. Tears streamed down my mother's face. Yuzukin's family is based in Jingshi. My hometown is Haicheng. Jingshi has an arid climate, while Haicheng is warm and humid. I've been staying in Jingshi with Yuzukin all these years and rarely go back home. Finally, I can go home today. It's an 8-hour drive on the highway from Jing City to Haicheng. During those 8 hours, I thought deeply about many things and had a long talk with my mom. In the end, I decided to have an abortion and then go to the UK for further studies. After finishing my studies, I'll return to Haicheng to open a studio and live my life to the fullest. Mom fully supports my decision. Patting my hand, she looked up and said with emotion, I used to hope most that you'd marry into a good family, someone to cherish you, just like how I've been cared for. All I want now is for you to be happy, whether you get married or have children, none of that matters to me anymore. Mom didn't blame me for ruining the relationship, nor did she scold me for wasting 10 years of my youth. She didn't even resent me for coming back to her home while pregnant. No matter when or where, the only person who can support me unconditionally is my mother. I held her hand and sobbed out loud, exhausted from crying. I fell into a deep sleep in the car. When I woke up, there were many missed calls and messages from Yu Zichin on my phone. The gist was that he would keep his distance from Lin Wanbai. He promised he wouldn't cheat and vowed to love me forever. His tone was genuinely sincere. Along with the message came a plane ticket. Yuzukin said he came to Haicheng to wait for me. No matter how I choose to punish him, he'll accept it without resentment. His apology felt genuinely sincere, but I no longer want to forgive him. The car pulled up in front of the familiar house. 6. A light drizzle began to fall from the sky. Yu Zichin was holding a bouquet of flowers and carrying a large cake. In the gloomy December rain, he stood awkwardly at the stairwell, wearing only a thin shirt. My parents exchanged a look and started cursing in frustration. You've done such a disgraceful thing, and now you have the nerve to ask for forgiveness. You're so thick-skinned. I wonder if we could render lard from that hide of yours. Yu Zichin listened to these words, seething with anger but not daring to speak up. His face turned pale, then flushed with anger. Holding the umbrella, I spoke softly, Mom, Dad, why don't you go on ahead? My parents shot Yu Zichin a glare and trudged upstairs with disgruntled huffs. I looked up and saw Yu Zichin's eyes welling up. His chest heaved repeatedly, his voice growing hoarse. Shiyu. After 10 years of feelings, I can't accept this outcome. A decade of devotion, a decade of youth. Now he shows up at my doorstep, saying he can't accept this outcome. The drizzling rain soaked through my sleeves. My voice was cold and barely above a whisper. You blame me. After 10 years of love, you go and fall for someone else right before our wedding. Yu Zichin, you brought this on yourself. This is also the consequence of my indulgence. It's not what you think between her and me. Yu Zichin growled at me in a low voice, the cake in his hand smashing onto the ground. It went limp, collapsing into a mushy mess. I stared at it and smiled. What a shame, we can't eat it anymore. It's also a shame that we don't have a future together. Yu Zichin's breathing became somewhat rapid as he spoke in a flustered manner. Shiyu, didn't we agree? I'll transfer her out of our team. You'll pretend this never happened. Wasn't that our arrangement? I'll have her transferred, and I won't betray you. So why are you still leaving me? In the chilly drizzle, Yu Zichin's expression grew agitated. I took a step back as rainwater soaked into my pointed-toe shoes. These shoes were a birthday gift from Yu Zichin. They're made of lambskin, so they can't get wet. What a shame, even these are falling apart now, because I overestimated my own capacity for forgiveness. Yu Zichin, I can't accept my man having feelings for someone else, even though I've given you 10 whole years of my youth, even though I have to bear the sunk cost of a decade's silence. Yu Zichin glanced at me irritably a couple of times before speaking with forced calm. Shiyu, no one stays in love with just one person their entire life. I had a fleeting crush on her, but it's you I love. You know how I am. Shiyu, yes, I understood Yu Zichin all too well. The rational and composed Yu Zichin never allowed his life to veer off course. He planned to secure a PhD position within 2 years, and for those 2 years, he managed To maintain a consistent early-to-bed and early-to-rise routine, he aimed to become a Huada University mentor in 3 years, which drove him to spend day and night immersed in the lab and library. But when it came to marriage, he kept putting it off without any concrete plans. Everything was unfolding precisely according to Yuzichin's master plan. I went along with him without question, but in his plans, my wishes were never a priority. Zichin, every aspect of your life has been progressing steadily according to your plans, while my life has constantly been reshaped around your plans. After graduation, you said you wanted to get into Hua University, so I turned down the job offer in Haicheng to be with you. You said you wanted to focus on research, so I worked to support us both. I've gone to the ends of the earth to give you everything you wanted, but what about you? I've been pushing you Zichin to marry me for a full 10 years, if it weren't for his parents getting down on their knees begging him to marry me the other day. That wedding is never going to happen. Yuzukin, you're so clever, you should have seen this coming. If you have feelings for Lin Wanbai, you shouldn't be coming to see me. You can't, you mustn't, hurt 2 women at the same time. I turned and went upstairs, refusing to take the flowers he tried to push into my hands from the 9th floor landing. I looked down through the stairwell at Yuzichin below. He stood with his head bowed and arms hanging limply, the very picture of dejected defeat. The bouquet was damp with rain, its delicate petals already wilting into a sad, crumpled mass. This was probably the worst day in Yuzichin's charmed life, the absolute worst. I didn't give him another glance and turned back into the house. The next day, my mother scheduled an abortion appointment for me. My mom and I ran into Yuzichin at the stairwell as we were heading out. He seemed to have been waiting there for quite a while. His clothes were all crumpled. Seeing that my mom and I were about to leave, he held out the gift bag in his hand. Auntie, Shiyu, I brought these gifts for you. Mother spoke with a stern expression. We don't want your things, take them and get out of our way. He watched me warily. Shiyu, where are you going? Get an abortion, Shiyu. Yuzichin stared at me with a furrowed brow and a grim expression. Seeing that I didn't respond, he turned to my mother beside us, his tone softening. Auntie, could you please talk some sense into Shiyu for me? I never cheated. Running out on the wedding was a last resort. This baby, we tried so long for this. If she terminates the pregnancy, my mother snapped back furiously. So what if she does? We're well off. I can provide for Shiyu my whole life, even if she never marries. She aborted the child of a scumbag like you, and now she has a bright future ahead of her. Yuzichin's face grew increasingly grim. He stood in front of us, stubbornly refusing to move aside. My mother used to like him and always treated him kindly. It was the first time my mother had ever spoken to Yuzichin with such severity. Yuzichin was visibly embarrassed. He grabbed my arm, his voice softening as he pleaded desperately. Shiyu, I've already made things clear to Lin Wanbai and had her transferred out of our team overnight. I made it clear to her that we'll keep our distance from now on, and I won't contact or bother her again. Here's the transfer order. It came through this morning. Could you take a look? He handed me his phone, his eyes pleading with stubborn insistence. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, so I took the phone under his hopeful gaze and smashed it straight on the ground. Yuzichin furrowed his brow, looking at me with resignation. He's always been like this, utterly composed even when we're breaking up, not a flicker of anger, even when I told him I'd terminate his child today. Yet he always makes me feel he still loves me. It made me feel again that it's just hormones and chemicals messing with us. Yuzukin, there's no going back. Yuzukin could have resolved this matter quickly. He insisted on testing my limits, only offering apologies when things were beyond repair. I tried to forgive him, reasoning with myself, but I just couldn't get past that mental block. We stood at the stairwell, locked in a stalemate for what felt like ages. The stream of passers-by never ceased. Yuzukin stared at me with a broken expression, his face contorted in anguish. Why, Shiyu, I've resolved everything. I never actually cheated, and I promised you a future. Why can't you just trust me one more time? Even now, he still doesn't get it. What stood between us was never about our feelings for each other. It's not even about trust. It's that this relationship has been tainted by a third party. The purity is gone. I remained silent and prepared to call security to escort Yuzichin out. He growled at me. Shiyu. Yuzichin knelt down, lowering himself before me, the ring that had been abandoned at the wedding venue now lay in his palm. Marry me. Let's go get our marriage license right now and give our child a proper home, will you? To be honest, Yuzukin is an exceptional individual. He possesses impressive qualities, attractive appearance, strong professional competence, high social standing, and substantial financial means. We share an emotional bond and have children together. Just some girl who barged in out of nowhere. I could pretend nothing happened and stay with Yuzichin, but I don't think I can. actually do that. The love I want has to be flawless. The moment I picked up the diamond ring, Yuzichin's phone rang simultaneously. I faintly heard Shelly exclaim, "Oh no, Miss Lin found out you removed her from the team and attempted suicide again. She's pulled the same stunt twice now." Yuzichin's eyes flickered with conflict as he gritted his teeth and said, "From now on, don't report anything about her to me." He hung up the phone and looked at me with hopeful eyes. "Shiyu, please forgive me. Let's get married again. I promise I'll treat you right this time." I couldn't help but let out a scornful laugh, tears welling in my eyes. "Throw that ring on the ground." Yuzichin picked it up, and I threw it again. His expression darkened in response. I said softly, "Some things don't get a second chance. You betrayed our 10 years together. I hope you end up alone, Yuzichin. I'm the one leaving you." This was probably the first time Yuzichin had heard me say such cutting words. He grabbed my hand and held me in a desperate embrace. "Shiyu, please, don't terminate the pregnancy. I'm begging you." 7. After all these years of hoping for a child, how can you bring yourself to end it? "Shiyu, this baby is the embodiment of our love. Please don't be so cruel to me." Yuzichin's words brought back a flood of memories. Over the years, we've often gone mall hopping, and the baby section has always been our most frequented spot. We'd daydream about what life would be like once we had a baby. We'd laugh joyfully while holding up tiny pink baby clothes. Let's explore children's products together with fresh eyes. This little one is the miracle we've been waiting for so long. We were truly happy on this journey toward happiness, but now, Yuzichin is no longer worthy of it. I pushed him away and got in the car with my mother. Yuzichin followed us all the way to the hospital, caused a scene in the ward, and refused to let the doctors perform the abortion procedure on me. Looking at his ferocious expression now, I spoke calmly, "What's the point? Can't we just part on good terms?" With red-rimmed eyes, Yuzichin rushed over and said through gritted teeth, "Who wants to part on good terms with you? Shiyu, we've been together for 10 years, I've loved you for 10 years, and I won't let you do this. You can't just unilaterally sentence me to death. From the moment you started having feelings for her, you should have known it would come to this between us. Shiyu, I was wrong." Yuzichin growled at me, his face etched with boundless anguish and regret. "When it comes to matters of the heart, there's no such thing as right or wrong. It's just the withdrawal symptoms from being together for too long, playing tricks on us." I picked up my bag and glanced at the doctor standing nearby. "Sorry for the trouble. We'll come back another day." Seeing that I'd stopped insisting on the abortion, Yuzichin breathed a sigh of relief. He followed close behind me, offering endless apologies and expressions of remorse. "Shiyu, if you keep the baby, if you're willing to come back to me, I'll give you anything you want. I'll transfer all my money and assets to you, hand over my salary card, and promise to come straight home after work every day." Yuzichin went on like this the entire way. Everything I'd ever wanted to hear from him, everything I'd hoped he would do, was finally being said, all at once. At this moment, I truly believed he was filled with regret. After arriving home, I retreated to my room alone and quietly watched the winter snow falling. Outside the window, Haiching in December was damp and bitterly cold. Yuzichin stood alone downstairs, wrapped in a thin wool coat with a light dusting of snow accumulating on his head. There was a text message from him on my phone. "Shiyu, I'll stand right here waiting for you until you forgive me." I waited for him for 10 years, and now it's finally his turn to wait for me, yet I felt no joy at all. Watching the heavy snow begin to fall outside the window, I typed out a line of text. "Fine, I've waited 10 years for you. Now you can stand downstairs for 10 years. With that, I blocked Yuzichin. About half an hour later, the sky turned overcast. My mother knocked and entered my room. She placed a bowl of freshly made snow fungus soup in front of me and let out a sigh. "Shiyu, I'm not trying to pressure you. I just want to know what's really on your mind right now." My thoughts were in complete disarray. Over the past decade, Yuzichin has been nearly perfect, except for his refusal to marry me. Though our wedding plans kept getting postponed, he genuinely treated me well. He never missed a holiday. Gifts and red envelopes were always part of the celebration. Fresh flowers and cakes became such regular gestures they felt like everyday occurrences. Is he good to me? Absolutely. Is he bad to me? Apart from refusing to get married, he indulges me in almost everything. The incident with Lin Wanbai tore open this seemingly loving relationship, exposing its raw wounds to the air. I gave Shaoli a call. Shaoli answered promptly, though his voice carried a hint of unease. I asked him, "Shaoli, after all these years of calling me Shernyeong, I just want to ask you one thing today. When did Lin Wanbai start working under Yuzichin, and when did she officially become a member of his research team?" Shaoli hemmed and hawed before finally speaking in a hushed tone. She's been here for 6 years. But she's never been able to complete her doctoral dissertation, so she could never graduate. In other words, Lin Wanbai has been with Yuzichin for 6 years right under my nose. I thanked Shaoli and hung up the phone. Then, I opened my tablet and reviewed Yuzichin's records of research guidance and analysis for students over the years at Hua University. If a doctoral student fails to graduate within 4 years, the university can advise them to withdraw. In his feedback on Lin Wanbai's thesis, Yuzichin always gave her top marks, yet would invariably add a note at the bottom. Research direction does not align with the project topic, requires complete revision, which means, harboring such intentions, they spent day and night together right under my nose for at least 4 years. I let out a sigh, took a deep breath, and then laughed out loud. I knew this was how it would end up all along. What am I even hoping for and getting disappointed about now? The sound of an ambulance siren came from downstairs. Mom rushed into the room again, her voice laced with concern. Shiyu, I think Xiaoyu fainted downstairs. What should we do? I looked up and met my mother's gaze. Let's go. We should head to the hospital too. For years, I'd been the emergency contact listed for Yuzichin. 8 hours passed after I paid Yuzichin's medical fees. He finally regained consciousness. The air was thick with the pungent smell of disinfectant. Yuzichin had always possessed a boyish face, and I used to adore it when he acted coy with me. Now, as he gazed at me, his eyes were filled with deep attachment. Shiyu, I feel awful. Unlike before, I felt no urge to comfort him, and simply opened the freshly bought congee on the table. You should eat something now that you're awake. A flicker of disappointment crossed Yuzichin's eyes before he smiled at me again. As he ate, he began reminiscing about the past with me. He mentioned that moment when we carried the kitten together to the veterinary hospital for treatment. Let me tell you about the fun we had starting that stray cat rescue group in the park. It's about the beauty of kindred spirits. We really did click back then. Yuzichin watched my expression cautiously as he slowly finished the congee in his bowl. The story was nearing its end, and the regret brewing in his eyes grew more profound. The moment the nurse finished changing Yuzichin's drip, he took hold of my hand. Shiyu, I truly regret it now. Please forgive me. Let's start over, okay? A gentle breeze rustled outside the window. There was far less snow today than yesterday, yet the weather felt even colder. 8. I lowered my head and pulled a medical report from my bag. I terminated the pregnancy last night while you were unconscious. Yuzichin stared at me in utter disbelief. He stared at the medical report, caught between laughter and tears. Shiyu, how could you be so heartless? This was a human life. Why can't you just forgive me? Am I really that unforgivable? Is keeping this child truly out of the question? Why are you treating it this way? Why can't you just forgive me? I looked at Yuzichin and spoke softly, because my love for you has run its course. For 10 years, the one thing I looked forward to most was our wedding. My greatest dream was to marry you. Do you remember? Every year I would ask you, when will you marry me? Each time you told me to wait, then gave me a gift to comfort me, promising that day would come. I waited and waited, hoped and hoped. I truly believed that if I didn't marry you in this lifetime, my heart would be broken forever. But when our wedding day finally arrived, and in the days after you left me, I fought long and hard. Perhaps, what trapped me was just my own obsession, not you. Yuzichin, I don't love you anymore. That's why I don't want to have your child. Yuzichin stared at me with utter disbelief. My words must have shattered his heart right before my eyes. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. A bloodstain bloomed across the blue and white sheets. I immediately called for the doctor, and Yuzichin was rushed into the emergency room. Half an hour later, the emergency room door swung open. The doctor stepped out. The patient just had a sudden surge of blood pressure due to stress, combined with too many sleepless nights and constant overwork. Just make sure to get plenty of rest from now on. I nodded and, staying true to the principle of seeing things through to the end, paid the remaining hospital fees for Yuzichin. 3 days later, there was a knock at my front door. Peering through the peephole, I saw Yuzichin's pale, yet sharply defined features. Looks like he still hasn't given up. He gave me a look of utter anguish and hurt. His voice was a bit hoarse. Do you hate me so much that you won't even visit me when I'm sick? I spoke up. It's not dislike. It just doesn't matter anymore. From the day I decided to part ways, we became the most familiar strangers to each other in this reality. Yuzichin lowered his head for the first time. The ever-arrogant man shed tears in front of me. Teardrops fell one by one onto the marble tiles before me. Yuzichin uttered in anguish, I just can't bear to let go. Shiyu, must we really part? Do you have to be so cruel to me? Can't we make up? I'm begging you. Shiyu, please, don't turn me down. I couldn't bear it. Shiyu, I'm begging you. Never in my life did I imagine Yuzichin would lower his proud head before me, pleading with me so humbly not to leave him, begging for my forgiveness right before my eyes. Something stirred deep within me, a strange sensation crept through every fiber of my being. Yuzichin noticed I had remained silent. He looked up and pulled me into a tight embrace. Shiyu, I miss you so much. I can't live without you. Please don't be so cruel to me. Seeing Yuzichin like this left me at a complete loss. I rubbed my temples and told him to come inside first. The alternating blasts of cold and warm air sent an involuntary shiver down my spine, as if by instinct. Yuzichin immediately poured me a glass of warm water, just like he always used to. I held the glass and sat with him on the sofa, neither of us speaking for a long time. The clock ticked away, and the television played a holiday greeting from Santa Claus. It was Christmas Eve. Whack! I drained my glass and set it on the table. Yuzichin, he looked at me with cautious eyes. I'm going to study in the UK. Yuzichin's expression darkened as he spoke with a puzzled tone. Mom, you. My gaze fell upon a stack of fashion design material books on the table. I used to believe that a woman didn't need to be exceptional, she just needed to marry a successful man, stay home to raise children, cook meals, and become his support system. But these past few days, it suddenly dawned on me, I too have aspirations, dreams of my own, and skies I wish to conquer. So, I've decided to leave Haiching and go study in the UK. A strong objection flashed in Yuzichin's eyes. But you're already 30, starting now. Don't you think it's a bit late? Late. It's never too late to pursue something you truly want, as long as you start now. Yuzichin remained silent, his eyes filled with clear disapproval. In the past, I would have immediately backtracked and said I wasn't going, but now that we're no longer involved, I don't need to worry about his reactions anymore. My mind is made up, so Yuzichin, you should leave. With that, I stood up to head back to my room. Yuzichin caught my hand. His expression was conflicted and complex as he said, I'll wait for you, Shiyu, go ahead, I'll be here when you return. I remained silent and pushed his hand away. No need, Yuzichin, I don't like keeping people waiting. The day I received the offer, I posted a celebratory moment on my social media feed. Both Uncle Yu and Aunt Yu gave it a like. My parents prepared a table full of delicious food to celebrate for me. When you're out on your own, you need to take good care of yourself, you hear? Mom patiently reminded me, going on and on. A warmth gradually spread in my heart, and I nodded repeatedly. The next day, I set off on my journey to the UK. In the airport departure hall, I saw Yuzichin. He was waiting for me at the check-in counter, holding a bouquet of my favorite peonies. Shiyu, I came to see you off. Without a word, I handed my ID card to the staff. Yuzichin stood by, passing me the boxes one by one from his hands. I prepared some travel essentials for you. Things that are hard to find in the UK, take them with you. These are your favorite pastries. I bought some for you to have on the way. I was just about to refuse. Yuzichin interrupted me with a pleading look. Shiyu, please don't turn me down. Even if we're no longer together, I still want to be good to you. Let me keep this right, okay? I took a deep breath and accepted what he was holding out to me. After the staff handed me the boarding pass, I walked toward the security checkpoint without looking back at Yuzichin. He shouted after me, Shiyu, I'll wait for you, no matter how long you stay in the UK, I'll be here waiting. Shiyu, I love you. Yuzichin's airport farewell turned heads among countless passers-by. They all cast envious glances my way. Even the security personnel gave me a second look. Flaunting affection in public was never Yuzichin's style. He must be feeling uneasy right now, afraid that once I leave, I'd never come back, never want him again. Clutching what he handed me, I tightened my grip on the boarding pass. Yuzichin's figure gradually faded from view behind me. The twilight beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the tarmac grew increasingly resplendent as evening deepened. It resembled the last embers of sunset, yet also carried the promise of dawn piercing through the night. Step by step I boarded the aircraft, watching Haiching's skyline recede into the distance. For now, everything about the city has become someone else's story. The plane touched down at Edinburgh Airport after 22 hours in the air. The moment we landed, I received a message from an unknown number. Have you arrived safely, Shiyu? It must be a new number Yuzichin registered. I didn't reply, but while packing my bags, I found the diamond ring he'd tucked into the box. I sat on the living room sofa for a long time, just staring at the ring. We had chosen this diamond ring together. 5 carats, 350,000. That was over half a year's salary for Yuzichin. We were joined by his colleague and the colleague's fiancé while picking out the diamond ring. 9. When they heard the price of the ring, they shook their heads in disbelief. Only Yuzichin gave me a confident wink and declared with full assurance, if you like it, we'll get it. that's Yuzichin for you. He'd always indulge my whims as long as he could afford to. Maybe it was because everything felt so unfamiliar when I first arrived in the UK. I lost control of my emotions. I swore I wouldn't shed another tear for him. Yet here I am drowning my sorrows straight from the bottle. My resolve began to crumble in the days that followed. Yuzichin started messaging me daily, share your daily life with me. Even though I never respond, days kept rolling by steadily, and I gradually settled into life here. Every day I study English, take specialized courses, and share meals and study sessions with other international students here. Life feels fulfilling and full of promise. Thoughts of Yuzichin gradually faded from my mind. My days became filled with diverse courses, professors' lectures, and exchange programs. I no longer felt disheartened or lost over that past relationship. The smiles on my face were becoming more and more frequent. On the day I received the scholarship for the new academic year, Yuzichin sent me a new message. It's been a year, Shiyu. Are you planning to come back? I stared at this message for a long time. In the end, I looked at the design assignment I had just received and sent Yuzichin my first message in a year. I'm doing well here and will stay to continue my studies. After sending it, the message vanished without a trace. Yuzichin hadn't sent me any more messages for a long time. I didn't think much of it until one noon after the semester started. In front of the White Dove Church as Big Ben chimed, I saw Yuzichin wearing a dark blue jacket, standing by the cream-colored poolside with pristine white doves circling overhead. We stood gazing at each other across half the lawn. What? He approached me with a mix of bashfulness and delight on his face. Shiyu, I came to see you. After a year had passed, all my initial resistance toward him had long since faded. I now have a future, an education, and a career ahead of me. I won't tie my life to a marriage or a man anymore. I feel at peace. Yuzichin and I had a meal at a casual diner off campus. He asked me a lot about my life here. I answered each of his questions one by one. The plates were gradually emptied. Yuzichin set down his cutlery, bowed his head, and remained silent for a long while. Shiyu, can you give me a time frame? I looked at him with confusion. He took a deep breath, his expression gradually growing uneasy. I just want to know, when will you finish your studies? When will you return home? And when will we finally get married? I knew that look all too well. Back when I asked him when he would actually marry me, I wore that same awkward expression, afraid of putting pressure on him, that uncomfortable look. I leaned back and responded in the same manner Yuzichin once did. My current focus is solely on my studies and career. As for marriage, I haven't given it any thought yet. Yuzichin stared at me with a complicated expression. Shiyu, are you doing this to get back at me? I stared at him in disbelief and shook my head. I'm not being evasive. I genuinely haven't given it any thought. When one can conquer new horizons, who'd willingly chain themselves to matrimony? Yuzichin's fists clenched in fury, his face darkening like a thundercloud. This simple restaurant is run by a Hong Konger, with soulful Cantonese songs playing inside. Yuzichin closed his eyes, his voice hoarse. Shiyu, I'm 31 this year. I can't wait for you much longer. Can you give me a straight answer? What a coincidence. I said these exact words to him a year ago. Zichin, I'm about to turn 30. A woman's precious youth only lasts a few years. When are you actually going to marry me? What did Yuzichin say at that time? He held the lab report in his hands, his eyes completely absorbed in the data and research. Just wait a bit longer. Marriage isn't on my radar right now. At that point, I broke down and pressed him, demanding to know exactly how long he expected me to wait. He said he wasn't sure, because he's still uncertain about how his future will unfold. It's only been a year. Is he that impatient already? I can't give you a definite answer because my own future is still uncertain. Yuzichin fell silent. The next day, he asked to meet me at our usual spot. Yet in just 1 year, the way we interacted seemed to have changed dramatically. I used to be the one starting conversations, finding different ways to keep us talking. Now that I've fallen silent, silence has settled between us. Yuzichin tried to start a conversation a few times, but none of the topics really took off. Gradually, his expression grew more and more dejected. Just as he was about to speak again, I said, there's no need to force it. We don't have to talk if there's nothing to say. He let out a sigh and chuckled. Riley, I never imagined making conversation between two people could be this exhausting. Truth is, making conversation isn't the exhausting part, nor is the lack of topics. Feeling drained, simply because we've run out of things to say. And when one person isn't engaged in a conversation both want to have, just like how I used to rack my brains trying to keep a conversation going with Yuzichin. He would look at me and say, I'm not really interested in what you're talking about, honestly. It's nice just being quiet together like this. Come to think of it, even in the mundane routines of our past daily lives, there existed invisible pressures and conflicts, but back then, I always suppressed them deep inside. Pretending nothing was wrong, I turned my head to the window, watching the flow of people outside, and asked, "How long do you plan to stay here?" Yuzichin gave a faint smile. "I'll be leaving tomorrow." 10. I just wanted to see you. The streets of Edinburgh in early spring were carpeted with drifting cherry blossoms. I stood up and walked out. "Come on, I'll take you to see the cathedral." Yuzichin followed behind me. Along the way, we encountered many French people and quite a few photographers. They greeted us warmly, saying we made a perfect couple standing together, a talented gentleman and a beautiful lady. Yuzichin burst into hearty laughter upon hearing this. We were quite fortunate to arrive at the church entrance just as a wedding ceremony was taking place. The groom kissed the bride's forehead and swept her up in a princess carry, spinning her around. The venue erupted in cheers of celebration. Everyone was swept up in the wave of joyous happiness. I glanced at Yuzichin and noticed a glimmer of longing in his eyes. I just kept staring at him for what felt like an eternity. He eventually noticed and looked down at me with a smile. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I smiled back at him and said, "Are you thinking about getting married?" "Honestly, I don't feel like getting married at all right now. I feel like I haven't finished my studies yet, and my career hasn't even started. This really isn't the right time to settle down and start a family." The smile instantly vanished from Yuzichin's face. After we left the church, he gave me a ride to school. He stopped about half a meter away, separated by the cherry blossom tree, and asked me, "Shiyu, are you serious?" I turned around and gave him a sincere smile. "Yes, I mean it." Yuzichin, who was leaving the next day, dragged me out to buy a ton of stuff. Our living room was packed to the brim with all the things we bought. His eyes glistened with reluctance as he gave me a wistful smile. "Study hard and take good care of yourself." The next day, Yuzichin left. I didn't see him off at the airport. He left a pink gift box on the table. The card was filled with heartfelt wishes for me. Inside the box lay a pink necklace, unlike the apology gift from a year ago. Yuzichin said he personally picked this one out. He thought it would suit me perfectly. I unfastened the clasp and put it around my neck. In the mirror, my reflection smiled back at me. My eyes held a calm sense of release. 2 years slipped by in a blink. After completing my master's degree, my supervisor offered me a position at a fashion company in Edinburgh. I accepted the offer. One evening out of the blue, a close friend from back home sent me a message. She told me that Yuzichin had gotten married. The bride's name is Lin Wanbai. I gazed at the beaming couple in the wedding photo and sent my friend a reply. "They make a perfect match," wishing him all the best. I wasn't curious about how they got together, because tomorrow I need to head to a New York fashion company to close a major deal. Once it's done, it'll boost our company's sales by 50% next quarter. Seeing that I didn't seem bothered by the matter, my friend started digging for gossip everywhere. She then shared with me what she'd heard. It turned out the reason they got married was because Lin Wanbai had accidentally gotten pregnant. Yuzichin didn't want to marry her and tried to persuade her to have an abortion. Lin Wanbai announced this in front of the entire lab and threatened Yuzichin into marrying her. Experiments were Yuzichin's lifeblood. Not wanting any scandal, he naturally agreed to hold the wedding. Sounds like something straight out of a soap opera. I just took it as a piece of gossip. Then one afternoon, I unexpectedly received a call from Yuzichin. He asked, "How are you getting along in the UK? When are you coming back?" Leaning back in my chair, I replied with a smile, "What's this? You're married now and still keeping tabs on when your ex is coming back." Those 10 years with Yuzichin were a mutual affair, with both of us willing participants. Even after we broke up, I never held any grudges against him. Now that I'd built my own life and career, my attitude toward him has naturally lost its earlier resentment and coldness. I never expected my casual teasing would leave Yuzichin so flustered. His voice broke as he asked how I knew about his marriage. After all, this phone number was our only remaining connection. I gave a nonchalant chuckle. "Walls have ears." He fell silent for a long moment, then began explaining to me in a fluster. He said that over the years, Lin Wanbai had always resented his decision to remove her from the team, so the following year, Lin Wanbai contacted another advisor and transferred back to the lab. Afterwards, Lin Wanbai kept apologizing to him about our breakup. After he made it clear that it was fine, they didn't stay in touch much until one day, he got drunk because he missed me so much. They slept together. Yuzichin apologized to me over the phone. "Shiyu, please listen to me. I really didn't mean to do it on purpose. I just missed you so much, and I had too much to drink." I nodded and continued listening to him. Yuzichin said that when he woke up the next day, Lin Wanbai made it perfectly clear that she didn't need him to take responsibility. Then one day 3 months later, she rushed into the lab in tears, saying she was pregnant. She wanted him to marry her. I flat out refused, but promised to cover the abortion and all aftercare costs. I also swore I'd compensate her. It was noon, and after a busy morning, I found Yuzichin's story quite intriguing. I replied. She didn't agree, did she? Yuzichin continued. The whole office was buzzing about this matter. Whispers began circulating around the research institute. Lin Wanbai faced constant gossip and pointing fingers every day, making life increasingly difficult for her. Eventually, she reached her breaking point. 11. She confessed that he used to have feelings for her, and accused him of secretly taking photos and subjecting her to sexual harassment at the theater. She caused a scene at the research institute, tearfully claiming she was transferred out of the team precisely because she refused to comply with Yuzichin's demands. Anyone with eyes at the institute could see Lin Wanhai was trying to pin the blame on him, but there was no way around it. This mess was ultimately his fault. Shiyu, what I feel for her is obligation, not love. Shiyu, could you ever forgive me? Yuzichin's words nearly made me spit out the coffee I'd just sipped. Never mind how I'd mustered the courage to walk away from him back when I had nothing. Now that he's married with a child, would I really throw myself at him to be the other woman? I burst out laughing instantly. Zichin, I genuinely wish you and Lin Wanbai all the best in your marriage. I let you go back in my second year in the UK, now we can either be friends or strangers, there won't be anything beyond that. After that, I never received another call from Yuzichin. In the following 6 months, I met the person I would spend the rest of my life with. His name is Wen Xiao. We met at a design exhibition in New York, where we both served as judges for a piece by an emerging designer. We shared similar interests and compatible lifestyles, so we made a bold decision. We had a whirlwind romance. We held a romantic wedding in Edinburgh, inviting close friends to witness our special day. When my dear friends who had been concerned about my marriage met my husband, they all offered their most heartfelt and sincere blessings. My parents also shed tears of joy, blessing me for finding true happiness. After getting married, we decided not to return to our home country because I still had a lot of loose ends to tie up with my work here. My husband listened to me and stayed with me in Edinburgh. One day while chatting with a friend, she told me about Yuzichin's recent situation. She said that half a year after Yuzichin married Lin Wanbai completely changed from her former gentle and considerate self, becoming domineering and willful. Whenever Yuzichin did anything that displeased her, she would start making a scene. It all started with the scenes she made at home. As time went on, Zichin grew increasingly reluctant to return home, working overtime more and more frequently. Then she started causing trouble at his workplace. Yuzichin's job demanded intense focus, often requiring him to concentrate single-mindedly on complex tasks. I never disturbed him during work hours, but Lin Wanbai was different. She wanted to prove her importance in Yuzichin's heart. She demanded instant replies to her messages, immediate answers to her calls, and for him to rush home right after work. To prevent her from causing a scene at the office, Yuzichin had no choice but to put many projects on hold and carve out significant work time to be with her, risking a demotion. About a year later, Lin Wanbai was pregnant with their second child. During her pregnancy, she became even more domineering and arrogant. Yuzichin often had to cut his work short and rush back home. Soon enough, Yuzichin was demoted to a regular researcher for failing to handle the tasks assigned by the lab. A friend at the research institute who has some old acquaintances there heard that Yuzichin was desperately begging Lin Wanbai to let him go that day at the institute. Not long after, Lin Wanbai showed up at the research institute, heavily pregnant, and caused a huge scene. Their argument boiled down to the same old story. She accused him of pursuing her first, and now that he had married her, he was starting to find her tiresome. Yuzichin yelled at Lin Wanbai, complaining that she never gave him any space. Lin Wanbai yelled at Yuzichin for being inconsiderate toward women. In the heat of the argument, Yuzichin accidentally smashed a lab flask. The flask shattered, and fragments slid near Lin Wanbai's feet. Unaware, she stepped right on them. A shard of glass pierced the sole of her foot, throwing her off balance and sending her tumbling to the ground. The glass sliced through her lower body, and blood gushed out in torrents. Yuzichin was horrified, but it was already too late to get her to the hospital. Lin Wanbai suffered a miscarriage on the spot, which left her with lasting health complications. She will never be able to bear children in her lifetime. By their third year of marriage, they had become the institute's most notorious unhappy couple. Everyone kept their distance from them. You have no idea how vindicated I felt when I heard about this. Ha ha ha. When my friend told me this, I felt a bit dazed. The man I loved for 10 years ended up like this. It really goes to show, betray a sincere heart, and may you swallow 1,000 needles. Another year passed, and my parents' health began to decline. I gradually transitioned my work back to China and returned to Haicheng with my husband. On the day of my return, Yu Zichen somehow got wind of it. The moment I stepped out of the cabin, I spotted him standing in the crowd holding a bouquet of roses, his gaze fixed intently on me. After all these years apart, he looked noticeably more haggard amid the bustling crowd. I spotted my parents through the chaos and greeted them with a smile. Yu Zichen approached and blocked our path. He handed me the rose, forcing an awkward smile. Shiyu, it's been 5 years. Welcome back to China. I nodded and gently pushed the bouquet of roses back toward him. Thank you, but I think you should take these back. Given my current position, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to accept flowers from him, and given his status, it's even less fitting for him to be giving me flowers. Yu Zichen lowered his head and forced an awkward smile. I know you still haven't forgiven me, Shiyu, all these years. I've actually wanted to tell you again how sorry I am. I frowned, looking at him with confusion. Yu Zichen, if you truly cared about me, you shouldn't have shown up here today, let alone come to see me with flowers. Have you forgotten you're a married man now? Lin Wanbai is not someone to mess with. I want no part in whatever's going on between you two. Lin Wanbai appeared around the corner, her eyes glaring at me with pure venom. The innocent girl she once was had long since vanished. Now, Lin Wanbai was just another bitter-faced woman lost in the crowd. She rushed up to Yu Zichen and slapped him across the face, breaking down in tears. I knew you never got over her. All these years we've been together, why won't you even look at me? Is she really that special? The moment she returned to the country, you couldn't wait to see her, dropping everything to rush to the airport. Have you forgotten? You're married to me now. There's no future for you and her. Yu Zichen probably felt somewhat ashamed and disgusted. He roared in frustration, shoving her to the ground. Enough, Lin Wanbai. How long are you going to keep this up? I just came to see an old friend, nothing more. Why do you have to control every aspect of my life? Lin Wanbai's tears felt more genuine than any I'd ever seen from her before. Teardrops fell one by one like silken threads. With trembling hands and quivering lips, she began to speak. An old friend, the kind whose name you still call out in your sleep. Yu Zichen, if you truly loved her, why did you ever get involved with me? If you really loved me, why would you come see her today? Yu Zichen stood frozen, speechless, his fists clenched tight. There's no denying it. Lin Wanbai was right. When you love someone, you shouldn't have interest in anyone else. Amid the chaos, Wen Xiao appeared behind me, holding our daughter's hand. Darling, who is this? My daughter jumped onto me. Yu Zichen stared in shock at Wen Xiao, who had appeared behind me. He watched as Wen Xiao gazed at me with adoration, holding the freshly bought KFC bag high in the air. The fries, burger, and mashed potatoes you asked for. Lin Wanbai stared at Wen Xiao in disbelief. The moment I realized he was my husband, she looked at our family of 3, tears of bitter laughter welling in her eyes as she turned to Yu Zichen. So this is the woman you've been pining for all these years. She has a husband and child now, while you're still here waiting like a fool. Ha 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 ha. Yu Zichen's face turned pale, a flicker of pain flashing in his eyes as he looked at me. You got married? Yes. This is my husband and our child. My unapologetic demeanor made Yu Zichen's eyes redden. His voice grew hoarse. How come I never see you post on Moments? I frowned, then suddenly remembered, when I deleted Yu Zichen back then, I must have forgotten to remove his alternate account. No wonder he never asked to reconnect all these years. I haven't used that WeChat account in ages. Yu Zichen's face turned deathly pale as he let out a bitter laugh. Is that so? Well, I wish you the best. His tone carried a distinct note of regret. I remember it was around my 2nd year after moving to the UK when I went to a Eason Chan concert alone in New York. There was a line in one of the songs that went like this: my greatest regret is that your regrets are tied to me. Standing there in the crowd, I thought of Yu Zichen. That's when it hit me. Infatuation is a fleeting spark, but true commitment is what lasts forever. So when it comes to Yu Zichen, I've long since let go of any regrets. That day, our family of 5 left the airport, all smiles and laughter. No one gave a second thought to whatever was going on between Yu Zichen and Lin Wanbai. No one wanted to bring up the past ever again. Yet on that very day, Lin Wanhai attempted suicide by cutting her wrists. Yu Zichen thought she was faking it and paid no attention. 12. The person died right there in the bathroom, in a pool of blood. It was Lin Wanbai's colleague who found the body when she didn't show up for work and went to her place to bring her some food. After calling the police, the colleague rushed straight to the research institute and slapped Yu Zichen hard across the face. When you were with her, didn't you realize how emotionally unstable she was? She was willing to kill herself for you even when you weren't together. Now that she's actually dead because of you, are you happy? If you can't love someone, at least don't hurt them." A colleague with red-rimmed eyes made a loud scene. This was common knowledge throughout the research institute. Yuzichin's wife died by suicide after slitting her wrists, and people started avoiding him like the plague. The incident caused quite a stir in the community. The higher-ups held a meeting and decided to dismiss Yuzichin. News of Yuzichin's parents crying their eyes out spread through the entire elderly lady's social circle. When my friend told me, I fell into a long silence. Fortune and misfortune are two sides of the same coin. From the moment Yuzichin betrayed me, he should have seen this ending coming. Traitors belong in hell. I stopped worrying about his affairs and booked amusement park tickets for my daughter. Our family of 5 is going to ride the carousel tomorrow. Extra story, Yuzichin's chapter. I never imagined I'd marry anyone other than Shiryun. Even then, I felt a special kind of flutter for Lin Wanbai. I didn't hide the truth, so when I found out Shiyu was pregnant, my emotions were all over the place. I was thrilled about the baby, but my mind kept drifting to another lovely figure. I'll admit it. The 7-year itch hit us at 10 years. My love for Shiyu just isn't what it used to be. I've started developing feelings for another girl. That was until Shiyu said she wanted to terminate the pregnancy. In that moment, I suddenly felt like my life was spiraling out of control. I can't live without Shiyu. I have to be with her. Once I realized how much Shiyu meant to me, I started neglecting work and desperately begging for her forgiveness. Everything changed when Shiyu terminated the pregnancy and told me she was moving to the UK. I didn't want her to go. Selfishly, I hoped she'd stay, loving me, caring for me, revolving around me like she used to, but I couldn't get Shiyu to change her mind. She was dead set on going to the UK. There was nothing I could do but let her go. I'd always thought that since Shiyu had never been away from me, she wouldn't last long on her own. I just needed to wait until she was tired and upset, then comfort her a bit. She would come back to China with me and return to my side. Until I waited for a month, 2 months, a whole year. I couldn't wait any longer, so I went to the UK to find Shiyu. She's even more beautiful than I remember. Her design studies have given her a certain poise she didn't have before. I realized my love for her keeps growing stronger, not fading in the slightest. I want Shiyu to come back to the country to be with me, but she told me she wants to stay here and continue her career and studies. I wanted to intervene, but I couldn't. Nor did I have the right. I returned to my home country, ready to keep waiting for Shiyu. When did things start spiraling out of control? Perhaps it was that night when the chill seeped too deep into my bones. A profound loneliness settled in. I longed for someone to share the silence with. You know, I think Shiyu was always too clever for her own good. She must have realized my love for her had long been tainted. That's why she terminated the pregnancy and disappeared without a trace. That day, it suddenly hit me. I could never win Shiyu back. I happened to run into Lin Wanbai, who came to the bar to pick me up. I did have feelings for her before, but that day I couldn't control my lustful thoughts towards Lin Wanbai. I slept with her. There are 2 kinds of human desires, greed and unwillingness to accept things as they are. I'm greedy for Lin Wanbai. I want to possess Shiyu, but I crave to taste the vibrant innocence of Lin Wanbai even more. A loud crash. I gave in to my greed, and the taste was truly exquisite, absolutely mind-blowing. I was completely spellbound, and deep down, I couldn't accept letting Shiyu go so easily. How could Shiyu just leave like that? Did she feel no attachment to me at all? Unable to let go, I decided to wait for her. I was determined to see things through with Shiyu, no matter what. Lin Wanbai is pregnant. She wants me to marry her. Staring at her slightly swollen belly, I remembered the child Shiyu had aborted. In that moment, I suddenly felt a strong desire to become a father. I've come to realize I'm growing more isolated, and fewer people in this world truly understand me. I long to have a little life by my side again. I can't bear to lose this second child. That's why I decided to marry Lin Wanbai. I want her to drown in regret, to agonize over losing me. I want her to live consumed by remorse. Time flew by, and my life with Lin Wanbai began settling into monotony. I was increasingly convinced she was a dreadfully dull woman. She started making more and more demands of me. I began staying away from home. She became argumentative, agitated, and hysterical. I started giving her the silent treatment, thinking of Shiyu. I dialed the number we hadn't contacted in ages. I'd assumed Shiyu didn't know about my marriage. I thought we could still exchange pleasantries like old times, but she called me out the moment she spoke. I couldn't keep it hidden, so I started lying. I said Lin Wanbai forced me into it. I never loved her to begin with. I don't know if Shiyu believes me, but while saying it out loud, I realized I truly don't love Lin Wanbai. She only has a fresh body. How could she ever compare to Shiyu, whom I spent 10 years with day and night and worked so hard to win back. Hanging up the phone left me even more agitated. I started staying away from home for a full month straight. It wasn't until Lin Wanbai became pregnant again. This was my second child, but I realized that having a child with someone you don't love makes it impossible to form a bond. No matter how adorable the child is, I wasn't as invested in this child as I had been with the first. Lin Wanbai caught on and started having one explosive argument after another with me. I was so agitated that I started looking at Shiyu's photos, reminiscing about the past. Little did I know, Lin Wanbai saw this through the surveillance feed. She stormed into the lab. We had a huge fight, and she accidentally stepped on glass, leading to a miscarriage. The doctor said she'd injured her uterus and would never be able to have children. Lin Wanbai was distraught, crying incessantly, terrified I'd abandon her. I didn't comfort her because she was right. I was indeed waiting for Shiyu to return so I could leave her. She was just a fleeting attraction, but only Shiyu was my soulmate. I waited with growing impatience. Finally, in the 3rd year of my marriage, word came that Shiyu was returning. That day, I put on a brand new suit, crossed half the city with Shiyu's favorite peonies, and waited at the airport. The moment she stepped out of the airport, my eyes lit up. After 3 years apart, she had become even more beautiful. My gaze grew intense, but the words I'd practiced for so long were met with cold indifference the moment I spoke them. Even with that icy expression, Shiyu looked breathtaking. Her cold stare doesn't intimidate me. I'm confident I can win her back. But that eyesore Lin Wanbai had to show up and ruin everything again. Frustrated, I shoved her to the ground, swearing to myself that I'd divorce her the moment we got home. But just at that moment, a man stepped out from behind Shiyu. Shiyu said he was her husband, and they had a daughter together. That day, as I looked at the little girl, a deep regret washed over me. For a long time I wonder if we'd have a different, happier ending now. If I had desperately stopped Shiyu from getting the abortion that day, I wonder if Shiyu and I would have loved each other for a lifetime. If I hadn't developed feelings for Lin Wanbai back then. I'm so full of regret and pain. Lin Wanbai asked me if I regretted it, and I said yes. I said I wished she were dead. The next day, I dragged myself to work in a daze. I didn't notice any movement from the bathroom 13 until Lin Wanbai's colleague slapped me across the face and broke down sobbing. My ears started ringing as I heard her speak. Lin Wanbai was dead. My first reaction was actually relief. She was finally gone. I don't have to wait on her anymore. Yet I often dream that she's accusing me of letting her down. My thoughts are becoming jumbled. Sometimes Shiyu comes to mind, other times Lin Wanbai. One sobering day, it suddenly dawned on me. They seemed to have been good people from the very beginning. I was the one who destroyed them. I had lost Shiyu's heart long ago. Then, he trampled Lin Wanbai's heart into the dirt. That day, I'd had a few drinks and was in a daze. The air on the 33rd floor rooftop was crisp, with the sky and earth stretching out in an unobstructed panorama. I transformed into a bird and flew to Shiyu's home. When the media announced my death, Shiyu turned off the television and calmly tied a bow in her daughter's hair. She showed no grief over my passing, not even a hint of extra emotion. I don't know what I'm feeling right now.